I don't think you're ready for this movie. I don't think you're ready for this movie.
I don't think you're ready for this.
Cause my move is too bootylicious.
For you, man. We are back. We are back to another episode of the motherfucking Beans, man. It's good to be back too. Feels like it's been a minute. We've been really busy. Lots of stuff, lots of life happening. Guys. Life can't happen without you. Don't forget that quote. That is from Gandhi.
He's not wrong.
I'm never wrong. But we're back. I've never been wrong one time.
Never.
We're back. It's good to be back. It's been a fucking crazy week. We've got Sam Lopez in the motherfucking building. I don't know if you guys know this. Sam Lopez is pregnant.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That is inaccurate.
She's here, though.
I am here.
She is here. She is not. There's no baby in her belly.
I am not with child.
She is not with child. But, you know, sometimes you just got to put that energy out there. Sam.
We're manifesting a child.
Man, I don't want to, but I don't want to have to put semen in it.
No, that would be gross.
No, I just want to manifest it from, deep meditation.
I want God to, what's the word that when God puts
Immaculate conception.
Yeah. Immaculate conception. Sounds clean.
Yeah, and I see. Isn't that a form of birth? No, it's IUD. It's a different version of immaculate conception. Also a DUI if you are caught driving with one, ladies. But we're back. It's been a crazy week, my boy. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch the Andrew Schultz infamous special.
It's so dope.
It's very good. Me and Sam.
So fire.
I saw it probably 70 plus times, maybe 80 times, touring with him. So to see, and I knew it was, so it's like it's the biggest special in the world right now. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. www.andrewschultz.com. But it was cool to like see the final, like, wow, like I saw this nigga put his life into this for 10 months. And before, because think about it, because it was COVID, so he's been on that material, but like he actually finally got to do the tour and like do the thing.
Well, you think about all the time that they were putting together the special while you guys were still on tour. That's exhausting.
They were doing the same time.
One of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Yep.
You're one of the biggest acts in the world.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you're trying to produce your special on your own. All sort it out. That's a lot of work.
And you're editing on your own.
The man works.
Yeah, you're editing on your own. You got your own team doing the whole thing. I mean, it's directed by Alex and edited by Mark and Shifty. So it's like, we're talking.
So good.
It's in-house as in-house can get. But it was really so good. It was really cool to watch, bro. And I'm so proud of the dude. Like that's because that's the homie, the big homie, obviously. But like, just on some friend shit, just like, damn, bro, it's cool to be around a nigga that like make shit happen. Like he thought I saw the whole fucking thing, like the whole start to finish. So that's just so cool to see. And now you see the finished product, and it's the biggest special in the world right now. I mean, The Rock's posting about it. Fucking everybody's talking about it. He made fucking who knows how much money off of it, because I can't imagine the buys. So yeah, bro, that shit's fire, my nigga. Like,
he posted today that they sold
three times as much. 3 times as much, but I don't know what that number means. What does that even mean?
Who knows what that means? It means he made 3 times more than he was going
to. So it's like, goddamn. He's a gangster, bro. So yeah, go fuck with him. Go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. It is worth the $15 for damn sure.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Fucking friends hit me up. I had a nigga hit me up and go like, yo, bro, should I? He said, yo, Deric, I definitely want to watch this Andrew special, but should I illegally stream it or should I just buy it? I was like, my nigga, I know him. Illegally stream? No, you buy it. Obviously, you buy it, bro. This is a nigga I know. It's like Drake. Like, I'm not saying illegally stream Drake, but if you did, I don't know that nigga.
Yeah, you don't care what you do to Drake.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because I think he's doing fine regardless. And not that Andrew's not, but I'm saying like, I know this nigga, so yeah, you got to buy it.
Yeah. Or I'm telling.
I'm telling, bro. I'm calling the police on your motherfucking ass, dog. It'd be like, this nigga's illegally streaming at his house. I'm sure he's doing other illegal things, But yeah, bro, it was cool. That happened. Rest in peace, Jack Knight. That happened. One of our good fucking buddies, one of our great friends, one of the greatest minds of comedy of this young generation, of this new generation of comedians. And he's gone, bro. And that's my brother.
Yeah, he was really spearheading this generation of comics. Like, he was one of the first to really be popular and be seen. And
so if you don't know who Jack Knight is, just go look him up. Jack Knight. If you look him up, all his stuff will come right up. Watch Big Mouth, the Devon character. If you watch Big Mouth, that's him. Code switching. And I'm the master of the dial. Like, that's Jack Knight singing that song, bro. So Big Mouth, Bust Down. He has a show on Peacock called Bust Down. Watch that. He has a new thing with Chelsea Peretti that's coming out. Watch that. And then just all the and mainly the stand-up. All the stand-up of his you can find. Just look at his name up. Netflix, he has a 15 minutes. Comedy Central has a bunch of stuff of him. So he has a show there too of just him doing stand-up. So it's like, go watch it, go find it, because he's one of the most brilliant minds, and he'll be remembered, forever, just because comics will always talk about him in such lore, because he was that great. He was a piece of shit. He was an ass.
But he's a huge loss to the craft.
God damn it, I love that fucking jackass.
There's we're gonna really miss out on who knows how many hours of material that would have been amazing.
Yeah, and greatness and movies and just greatness. And his life. Also, I wanted him to, he's 28, so I'd like to see that nigga live life.
Yeah.
Just like I want to see all my homies live life. But R.I.P. Jack, bro. That's my motherfucking man, 50 grand, bro. R.I.P. Jack Knight. But it's other than that, me and Sam jumped off a cliff. We went to a lake. Well, I jumped off a cliff.
You jumped off the cliff.
Sam cowered. But I'm still proud of
I
her.
was more concerned for my health and well-being.
That's right.
Yes.
Even though Hassan did it. And
Even
we all know
Hassan did
he's a pussy.
He's a pussy. But I have a pussy.
You do have pussy, so that gives you bonus points.
Yes.
But Sam, had to walk down.
It was embarrassing walking down. That was
bad.
so shameful.
That was shameful. That was very shameful. That was pure shame.
There's other boats looking at me.
Because everybody was cheering her on.
They were also cheering me on, and everyone's like, loser.
Yeah, she didn't jump. But it was a fun time. It was a good ass time. The lake in Austin is actually apparently Austin, I don't know if you guys know this. It's kind of nice.
It's all right.
It's kind of nice, dog.
It's a lake, a river.
When you go to the lake river thing, you really go, oh. So if I did this with barbecue, I get why people live here. Mm-hmm. You put those two things together, lake, barbecue, college football probably, let's say it was a Saturday and college football would have been on too. And there'd have been a TV on the, you know what I mean? Now it's now we're just.
Chill vibe.
This is too much.
Yeah.
This is too much.
Yeah, the vibe here is very beach town without the beach.
It's beach town. It's Oceanside, which is in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's like that or some shit. But the whole place, not as dirty, obviously.
Not as dirty, not as hot either, physically of the people. The people here are not the caliber of San Diego attractiveness.
These are Texans.
But good-looking people.
Good-looking Texans. Not the worst. Not the best.
I would say an average of 7 to 8s.
Yeah.
Whereas in San Diego, it was all 9s and 10s.
Yeah. It's no Houston.
No, this is not Houston. I don't know what that means. Is Houston
That's where the bad bitches
attractive? Oh, it's attractive.
That's where all the bad bitches are.
Yeah, that's where Drake hangs.
That's where Beyonce's from. That's where all the bad bitches. It's like a thing that bad bitches
Dulce's
are from Houston.
from Houston.
Dulce's from Houston.
She from Houston, baby.
And she's a black widow psychopath. She's a black widow. She's a spider, and she will eat your head off after sex.
I was thinking she was a Russian woman who had been trained to assassinate people.
She's that. Yeah. Dulce is a lot of things. Don't you fucking discredit that young lady. Guys, I'm excited for today's ep. I'm excited for you to be here. I'm excited for a movie to be heard. And why is that, Samantha? Why am I excited?
Derek's excited because he didn't have to do anything. He stayed in bed all morning.
I stayed in bed. I watched Andrew Schultz's On Your Mom House. I watched...
Oh, that must have been fun.
That was great. I watched Bobby Lee a little bit on the Honeydew. I never watched podcasts, but I had nothing to do this morning because Sam was doing stuff. And Sam, why were you doing stuff? You gonna tell me why?
Because I'm telling the movie.
It's a reverse.
It's a reverse.
Reverse. Remember that? Reverse.
That's how it sounded.
Yeah, what song was that? Do you know?
Was down. No, that's the other
Nope.
one. It's the...
Cha-cha, real smooth now.
Cha-cha slide, yeah. I keep doing the Cupid shuffle.
I know, I was like, she's not going to get that.
The Cupid shuffle's so much better.
You got to think of that. Now you hear that now. That
Cha-cha.
Cha-cha, real smooth. You know what's crazy? If you play it at any group gathering, though, because if you're by yourself, it's probably the weirdest song ever. It doesn't make sense. You put any 5 people plus, you play that fucking song.
Dude, old people like that song.
It's been around forever.
Has it been around? No, I mean elderly, people. My
I know this. When
it
came out, it was for everybody.
Yeah,
it was a family song.
Yeah, that's true.
Just the Cupid Shuffle, just like all those dance songs.
I like the Cupid Shuffle better.
But yeah, reverse.
Oh, I'm reversing.
You're doing it, boo boo.
It's me. I am in charge.
With your big old boobs.
Yeah, strap in. This is a movie. Deric doesn't even know what it is.
Am I gonna guess? Or are you gonna do what are you gonna do?
I'm going to let you guess on this one because I'm curious to think what you think it's about.
Okay, we'll be back.
All right. And I will tell you the movie. The movie that we're doing today, that I'm doing for you.
That I've never seen.
That you've never seen. That I've seen now maybe more times in the last month than I'd ever seen in my life because I've been watching it and rewatching it for so long.
We'll be back. What? You have a beautiful smile, by the way.
Thank you. What do you think happens in the movie When Harry Met Sally?
I know I'll have what she's having. I know that. I know I'll have what she's having, baby, which is some Harry meeting Sally. What do I think happens when Harry met Sally? Damn, that's a good question. I know who's in it because it's just it's iconic and everyone knows the scene.
Yeah, and they know that scene.
Everyone knows the scene. But this is what I think happened. Harry is a businessman. No, he's not. Harry's a softball coach. He coaches high school girls softball. Okay? And Meg is one of the teachers at the school. And they're good friends. And they're homies.
Okay.
And so she comes to a lot of the games. And that's why there's shots of them in stands, I believe. And so, so after the game, like when they coach or sometimes she would come to practice and they would hang out and they would talk and they'd shit on everybody at the school and they talk about that and you kind of know some of the kids and you know their relationship. And it's all friendship though. And of course the movie's really just about them dating and them telling each other about like each other's dating life, because they're homies, they work together. And the movie goes on, funny situations happen, yada, yada. And then one of the kids get cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is tragic.
Shit gets real. One of the kids get cancer. And before the kid dies, he says his last wish is for Harry to make Mr. Harry to make Mrs. Sally orgasm.
Oh.
So that's like happens in like the middle of the movie. So you think the movie is going to be this regular like rom-com.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Yeah. And this is why it's such an iconic movie.
This is iconic, yeah.
And so then left a mark. So then the kid dies. Boo. He says that. He goes, I just want you to make Miss Sally orgasm. Boo. Because he knows. Because he overheard one time, and you see this earlier in the movie, like he overhears her mention to him how she's never had an orgasm. And he's like on deck swinging the bat, and he hears this, and he's kind of like, huh? He's like, what does that mean? And there's like a little montage, and during the montage, you see him like you see him looking up the word orgasm. He's like, huh? Right? So this kid dies of cancer.
Okay.
And that's his last wish. So then they go to the restaurant, and then obviously he's like, you never had an orgasm? And she's like, no. And I fake him. And he's like, what do you mean fake him? And then the classic scene.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I told you. I'm pretty sure this is the movie.
This is pretty close.
And I'm pretty sure this is the exact movie. And they do that scene, and then everything goes well. They go home. When they go home, there's a robber in her house. And it's like a fight. Like, it's like a fight to the death. Like, you think he's going to kill Harry, Mr. Harry. Right? You think, but like right when he's about to kill her, she bashes his head with a softball.
Oh, because he's a softball coach. Why didn't he have a bat?
No, she had like a softball from one of the games. Earlier in the movie, she's like there was a joke. She was like, I'm taking this one home, right? Yeah. So the softball had relevance there, but I didn't want to get into the C plot. That was the C plot.
That's a lot of work, yeah.
So
he gets to the actual movie.
Yeah, so she bashes this guy's head in with a softball and murders him.
Yeah.
Right? And she looks and then he's like, are you okay? And she's like, Harry? And he's like, what? And she's like, I just came when Harry met Sally.
Whoa. That was a
boom.
Have you ever seen the movie Never Been Kissed?
No.
It's pretty much the same movie. Did I describe
Never Been Kissed?
But instead of kissing, it was orgasms.
Okay.
So kind of similar. And it has Drew Barrymore in it.
Well, I'm pretty sure I got all of it right, but if you want to tell me the movie, it's still...
do we even need to do this?
If you still want to do it, I'll listen, but I feel like we don't have to.
I did work really hard on this, so I would like to do the movie.
All right, if you want to.
All right. Do you want to... I think we should go to our ads before we get to the movie, right?
Ooh, and I can see your boobs in between. All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm going to see Sam's boobs, and you guys listen to an ad. Hey, Bean Mafia. That's right. The Bean Mafia gang has stepped up. Spoil the beans. We're here. We got a real ad, baby. This is a real motherfucking ad. Manscaped. That's right. That's Manscaped. You heard me correct. Everyone out there who has been listening to this podcast forever, we got a real product backing us, supporting the Spoil the Beans lifestyle, supporting the Spoil the Beans movement. And you know what's nice is this product is actually the shit. I've never used Manscaped. I've never used Manscaped before. I'm not going to lie. This is the first time I ever used it. Holy shit. Not kidding. Holy shit. Holy shit. It's amazing. It is
top tier.
Top tier. Sam likes the new package.
I dig it.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm talking about my package. This is incredible. Your boy, you know, I'm gaining girth. You gain girth. You gain length. Fellas, Manscaped. You're giving yourself inches, baby. And if Al Pacino didn't say anything, he said, life is a game of inches. You haven't seen this movie yet.
I was like, what?
Any given Sunday.
That?
Life's a game of inches. Nigga, Manscaped. That should be their fucking slogan. It's a game of inches. Life. Your penis. Manscaped. Dude, I love it. Spoil the Beans. That is our promo code. Literally type in Spoil the Beans, get 20% off. Guys, let me go through how good this is. See this right here? You see this? This bad boy, excuse me, is the lawnmower. The lawnmower 4.0. Dude, I use this, shaved my balls in 10 minutes. Hadn't shaved in like half a year, probably. You know what I mean? Shaved, tire sack, 10 minutes. Unbelievable.
But you're not even nearly as hairy as I am. Hey, for the ladies who are listening to this, you can also use this to shave you. I'm a very hairy lady. I'm a kind of a fuzzy person. What?
She's a fuzzball, dog.
I'm a fuzzball. I'm like a tennis ball.
She's a fucking tennis ball.
I am a tennis ball up in here. And this is very handy, I will say.
Love it. The 4.0.
So
the
quick.
4.0.
Trimmed my fuzz.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, Manscaped, let me tell you something about the 4.0. They engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredible, comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to our advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys. That is true. I had no nicks.
I wasn't nervous at all.
Yeah, I had zero nicks. And I've shaved my balls plenty of times with other razors and other things like that. You know what I mean? And literally always a nick or two, which sucks because your balls, you don't want your balls bleeding all day.
Yeah, that's gross.
Because it's nonstop. A lot of blood down there. Yeah, so you just don't want that. You know what I mean? I didn't know this also. I'm one of the first people, me and you, Samantha, to try the new 4.0, and I am blown away by the performance. I literally am. It's phenomenal. It really is. This upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It really can. You can lock it if you need to. It also gives you the ability to turn the 400K LED spotlight on and off whenever needed for a precise shave.
I looked up how
Oh
to
my
do
God.
it.
The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4, which is really nice. I did need the size. I was going to go no trimmer, and Sam had to help me out here.
Yeah, we wanted to get a little bit of a fade going.
I wanted more of a fade. I didn't want a football, but I like the fade. Did I mention, this is very important, wireless charging. Look at this. This is wireless. This is charging right now. All right. Wireless charging. Well, you got to plug it in, but it could be charging right now. Is my point.
It could be.
Wireless charging uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants pubes in their mouth.
Yeah, you should have one for each.
One for each. Me and Sam both have one. It's fucking awesome. It's time to get your own ball and hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice, smooth boys. Get 20% off, free shipping with the code SPOILTHEBEANS. All one word, Spoil the Beans, all caps. Guys, it's the name of the pod, Spoil the Beans. Easy. Manscaped, use it. Yo, let me tell you this. These are some of the things that you get. Waterproof trimmer, reduces foot odor. I didn't know that, but this does reduce foot odor.
Really?
It does. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer helps reduce nicks, reduces the risk of ingrown hairs, and reduces the risk of grooming accidents. I stand by all those things 1,000%. This is not because they're the first brand to support us. I genuinely fuck with this. Mm-hmm. The nose trimmer, incredible. Got all my nose hairs out.
He's got a hairy nose. That's the one thing that is very hairy.
I'm not really a hairy guy. My balls a little bit, but my nose gets pretty hairy.
But your nose needed...
I loved this. The crop preserver, the ball deodorant, genuinely found it refreshing on my testes.
You felt refreshed?
It added a little spice. You know, it really did. I wasn't mad about it. I really wasn't. The crop reviver, the ball toner, also felt good on my balls. I love this bag that they come with. This is just nice for, because I travel a lot.
The shed.
Is that what it's called?
That's what it says on here. The shed. It's
The shed, the travel bag. I travel a lot, so
cool
I've been
stuff.
using it on the road. Unbelievable kit, unbelievable package. I've been putting my other toiletries in this, but it's phenomenal, dude. Everything they sent us, I've been using. Every single thing. Sam uses them.
I did. I had to trim the fuzz.
Dude, if you're in a couple, get two. Get the 4.0
get two.
lawnmower. Unreal. Get the fucking, for fellas, if you got a hairy nose, get the weed whacker. 1,000% recommend the weed whacker if you got a hairy nose. Ball fucking deodorant, the crop preserver, unbelievable. The toner, unbelievable. God, the lawnmower 4.0, seriously. I genuinely loved this product. It is so worth it. It's just, I shaved. I'm going to probably shave again in another week. It took me 10 minutes. Crop the area. More inches.
It took you less time than 10 minutes.
Did it? It felt so fast.
It was very fast. Maybe like quick. 2 songs.
It was 2 rap songs. So we're talking, it might be 6 minutes. Probably, yeah, right. 6 minutes, if we're being all the way honest. 6 minutes. Your boy was fresh shaved up. We had incredible sex. Can I guarantee the great sex you'll have? I can't guarantee that. I can hope for it. I'll hope for it.
We can put that energy into
I'll put that energy. If you use Spoil the Beans, Manscaped,
20%
promo code,
off.
20% off, plus free shipping, I will put that good energy if you're going to have good sex after you Manscaped. I'm going to put that out there on you.
That's for you, man.
That's for you. Guys,
lady.
Spoil the Beans. The promo code's right here. Use it. Don't lose it. All right? 20% off. And Manscaped, thank you so much, man. You guys, this was amazing.
Manscaped.
We really appreciate it. We love you guys. Thanks for supporting the Bean Mafia. And back to the movie.
All right, we're back.
Those were some nice tatas, my lady.
It was hard getting them out, but I put them back in.
You did put them back in.
Yeah.
One by one. It was pretty cool.
It actually took us, 50 minutes?
All right, tell me this. I'm very excited to hear this. I love rom-coms, and this is a classic, and I can't believe I've never seen it.
I can't believe you've never seen it.
I love Meg Ryan. You know how much I love Meg.
I know you love Meg
I
Ryan.
love Meg.
Do you like Billy?
Billy's fine. I love Billy. Yeah. Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Mike Wazowski.
That's also what I want you. The whole time you listen to this, I want you to imagine him as Mike Wazowski.
That's who he is to me.
Okay, good. That's what he would. That's who he is. Yeah.
That's who he is.
That's his greatest role of all.
That's who he is. He's Mike Wazowski, my nigga.
Right, this is the
if I
love
met him, I'd be
story
like, Mike.
of Mike Wazowski.
Let's go.
Black screen, you hear jazzy music like, Henry Connick Jr., like, it had to be you, that kind of music.
90s rom-com.
Yeah, rom-com music.
It's 90s or 80s?
It is 1989.
Oh, wow, 80s.
Right before we're born.
Okay.
When Harry Met Sally comes across the screen. And we open on like an older couple, an old man and a woman sitting next to each other, sort of looking like they're being interviewed. And the man says, I was sitting with my friend Arthur Kornblum in a restaurant, and this beautiful girl walked in. And I turned to Arthur and I said, see that girl there? I'm going to marry her. And 2 weeks later, we were married. And it's over 50 years later now, and we're still married. And he looks at his wife, and she looks at him, and it just fades to black.
Interesting.
Right? University of Chicago, 1977.
It's a period piece?
And now this is still the jazzy kind of, it had to be you happening. And you see Billy Crystal, and he's making out with some girl, like a cute brunette, and like hands in the hair.
Oh, love it.
You see the University of Chicago in the background, right?
Nice.
And just like, just tonguing her. And then Meg Ryan pulls up in a car, and she's kind of watching them making out. And then she kind of goes, and the girl goes, oh, hi, Sally. Sally, this is Harry Burns. Harry, this is Sally Albright. And then Harry introduced himself. It's nice to meet you. And you get the idea that they're going to go on a drive together because Sally's like, you want to drive first? And he's like, oh, you're already in the driver's seat. You can take the first round.
But this is how he met this bitch.
This is how he met
this is some How I Met Your Mother shit.
This is how he meets this bitch. And then his girl's like, oh, call me from the road. I can't wait. And call me when you get home. And I'm going to miss you so much.
Wait. He's just riding with Sally?
He's just riding with Sally. So,
but he don't know her.
He doesn't know her.
Why is he riding with her?
So they go on to find out that the girlfriend has set up that they're both going to New York. And she has set them up to go to drive together because Harry didn't have a ride.
This is how you lose your man, ladies.
Yeah.
Do not set this nigga up with a cross-country drive with Meg Ryan.
Definitely not with Meg Ryan.
She's adorable.
She's so cute.
All right. Okay. This makes sense. Okay. This is all adding up.
So he gets in the car and they're like kind of doing the back and forth, like, we're not going to leave. And she's like, we got to go. And she starts like honking the horn, And so she starts telling him, once he gets in the car, she starts telling him her plan for how they're going to drive the whole way. She's like, it's 16 hours. I'll drive this quarter. You'll drive this quarter. This, that, and the other. You want to see the map? And he like doesn't care. Like,
Love
he's
it.
just ignoring
He's a college kid.
Yeah, he's a college kid.
They're
They've
both
just
college kids.
graduated. They've just graduated.
So they 22.
Yes. They're going to New York to start their lives.
How old are these actors though? Really though.
It's in 89.
So they don't look. Cause I've seen this movie. Them niggas don't look 22, bro.
No, because they're probably like in their early 30s.
For sure.
They're like our age.
Have to be. I've seen them. I've seen like the images of what this
Yeah.
movie look like. Them niggas ain't 22.
Yes. So he goes and he's like, as she's trying to talk to him, she's rummaging through stuff. He pulls out some grapes. He starts eating them, and she's like, you know, as she's not paying, and he's not paying attention to her. And they're the seeded grapes, you know. And he goes to spit it out the window, but the window's up, and so he spits the grape seed out on the window. And she like looks annoyed at him and grossed out, and then he kind of like rolls down the window.
Wow, dry comedy.
So they don't like each other. And he goes, why don't you tell me the story of your life? And he's like, we've got 18 hours to New York, you know, start filling it up. And she goes, well, the story of my life won't even get us out of Chicago. I've barely lived any life. Nothing's happened to me yet. And so he says, so is that why you're going to New York? So something will happen to you? And she goes, yeah. And he's like what? And she's like, I'm going to be in journalism school to become a reporter. And he says, oh, so you can write about what happens to other people?
Fire. He is giving her bars right now.
And she goes, well, I guess you could look at it that way. And he says, well, what if nothing happens to you in New York? What, suppose you die one of those like New York deaths where no one finds your body until the smell of it seeps out of your room for 3 months. And she's all upset. And he just keeps spitting the seeds out. And that like there's just like kind of this back and forth as they go down the hallway.
And they don't like each other.
They don't like
Wait, they
each
don't
other.
go down the hallway.
The highway. That's what I meant. Sorry. Then he says, she says, Amanda mentioned you have a dark side. And he goes, of course, that's what drew her to me. Your dark side? And he goes, sure. Sorry, this is so much dialogue. It's like
It's okay, you're good.
It is like it feels like a play when you're watching it because it's more dialogue than anything else.
Well, yeah, it's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com.
Well, I guess some rom-coms can be a little action.
And he makes fun of her for, you know, being too happy and she has no dark side. And as the night goes on, it starts to get darker, and you see like silos as they're like clearly like just going through farm country on their way to New York, and the conversation has changed because it's like so much time has passed, it's passing, so we just keep getting popped into different parts of the conversation.
Of the car, yeah, that makes sense.
And so you hear her go, "You're wrong," and he's like, and he says, "You think she wants to leave? He puts her on the plane." And she's like, I don't think she wants to stay. And you have like no clue what they're talking about.
They're talking about what, like Casablanca?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you seen Casablanca?
No, but everybody knows that. Everyone knows that.
I didn't know this.
Common knowledge.
He goes, of course, she wants to stay. Wouldn't you rather be married to Humphrey Bogart than the other guy? And she goes, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in Casablanca married to a man that runs a bar. I know that might sound snobbish to you. But, and then he goes, you'd rather be in a passionless marriage? And she says, yes, and I'd rather be the first lady of Czechoslovakia.
Wow.
Then
who is this girl, Sally?
I know she's like women, and a lot of other women would choose this too. Women are very practical. And he's like, you would rather live with a boring man than be with a man that you had the greatest sex of your life with? And she's like, of course, I would make the practical decision. And he goes, oh, I understand. And he gets out of the car because they've just like stopped at a diner. And she's like, what? And she gets out after him. What are you talking about? And he goes, nothing. And she's like, what? And he's like, forget about it. And they get up to like the diner, and she's like, no, tell me. And he turns around and he's like, I just realized you've never had the best sex of your life.
Of course.
Yeah.
Duh. This bitch don't even know what she's talking about.
And she's like, I have too. I have had plenty of great sex. And she says it loud, and they're in the doorway of the diner, so everyone in the diner looks at her.
Yeah.
Like, you know? And then he goes and sits down in a booth, and she like, everyone's looking at her, so she kind of walks awkwardly to the booth and sits down quietly. And he's not really acknowledging her. And then out of nowhere, he goes, with whom? And she says, what? She's like, with whom have you had this great sex? And she goes, That's also her character. Her character's all,
I can't believe you would say that. That's what that is. I can't believe you'd say such a thing.
I don't have to tell you that. And he's like, well, if you've had such great sex, who was it with? Well, if you must know, Shell Gordon. Shell Gordon? No. You did not have great sex with Sheldon.
Yo, Billy Crystal's an asshole, nigga.
Oh, he's so fun. He reminds me of you the whole time.
This nigga is talking reckless.
He goes, you don't have great sex with Sheldon. She goes, I did too. A Sheldon can do your income taxes.
He's right. I'd say the
Sheldon
same shit.
Can give you a root canal. But when it comes to humping and bumping, that's just not Sheldon's strong suit. It's the name Sheldon. How do you say that in the bedroom? Hit me, Sheldon. You're an animal, Sheldon. Ride me, big Sheldon. Doesn't work.
He right. He right, though. He right on that.
So she's all upset. A waiter comes up, and he has like a quick order, and then the waiter asks her order, and she goes, I'd like a chef salad with the oil and vinegar on the side. And apple pie a la mode. But I like the pie heated, and I don't want it with ice cream on top. I want the ice cream on the side.
Oh, she's a monster.
Yeah. But I'd like strawberry instead of vanilla. And if you have it, and if you don't have ice cream, I just like whipped cream, but only real whipped cream.
This is my mom. That's how my mom orders.
And the waitress is just looking at her like, and I go, all right. And she goes to get it. And Billy Crystal's looking at her the whole time, sort of just analyzing it as well. Like, who is this bitch? And she doesn't understand why he's like looking at her that way after her order. Like, it's such a crazy order. And so he goes, well, why did you break up with Sheldon? And she's like, how do you know we broke up? And he says, well, if you didn't break up with Sheldon the Wonderschlong, you wouldn't be here with me. And she goes, well, first of all, I'm not with you. And second of all, it's none of your business why we broke up. And then he says, you're right. I don't want to know. And she says, well, if you must know, it was because he was very jealous. And I have these days of the week underpants.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on. He was very jealous because I have days of the week underpants?
He was very jealous. I have these days of the week as underpants. And immediately Billy Crystal is like you. He's like, wait, what about the days of the week underpants? And she goes, yes, I had these days of the week underpants. I thought they were kind of funny. But then one day Sheldon was like, you never wear Sunday. Where's Sunday? Where had I left Sunday? And I told him and he didn't believe me. He didn't believe what? They don't make Sunday. And Billy's like, why? And she goes, because of God. She's just so adorable the whole time. You're just like, how could this sweet, innocent woman exist?
Interesting, dog.
So now it's the end of the dinner. She's counting up the exact tip and like making sure like they split it equally. And this is how much his tip is. And this is how much her tip is.
Oh
and
my
he's
God.
Just watching her be absolutely crazy. And you can tell he's already into her.
Yeah, because he's like, this is funny.
He's like, I'm falling in love. You could just see by the way he's looking at her being ridiculous that he's in love with her.
Yeah.
And then he goes, huh. And she gets like, what? She's like, and Amanda never told me how attractive you were. And Meg Ryan's like, well, maybe she doesn't think I'm attractive. And he's like, I don't think that's the point. You are, in my opinion, you are empirically attractive. There's no, it doesn't matter whether she thinks it or not. You are. And then all of a sudden Meg Ryan's like, oh, you can't say that. Amanda is my friend.
Yo, this nigga Billy Crystal, hold up, bro. You gotta just understand. I gotta pause. I gotta hit pause on this movie.
You imagine this green one-eyed monster.
No. Because this green one-eyed monster got fucking game. But you know what's crazy though? Even in Monsters Inc., he had game.
He got the girl with the
He
little,
had a bad bitch,
snake.
bro. And he a fat little dude. He had a bad bitch with him. He's a circle.
He's a circle.
he ain't Sully. He ain't like a big monster though.
He doesn't look like a sexy man monster.
No, he's a fucking little dude, like a little nerdy kind of dude who's got clearly a tongue, a mouthpiece.
But that's kind of how he is in real life. When you see him in real life, you're like, oh, he's kind of a short dude.
Kind of not. You're not thinking
not
he's
like
hot.
sexy.
But any guy with the mouthpiece is the hottest guy in the universe.
Oh yeah, he's so hot.
Because bro, the reason I hit pause, I have to hit pause because what he just said.
Yeah.
He said, bro, that's how I be talking. Bro, he said, because of course he knows, bro. He's like, I'm talking to my girl's friend. So I can't just be like, oh, you're really attractive. Mm-hmm. I got to say it in a way that, like, hey, I ain't no sleazeball, but like, yo, you are attractive.
Yeah.
But I respect you. Like, so I'm gonna say, yo, no, you're empirically attractive. Like
Yeah.
even whether she believes or not. Like you say it like that. Like, oh, it's science. Even though why are you saying it to begin with? Because there's
Yeah.
no reason to say it.
Exactly.
Other than it's like, yo, I want you to know.
I think you're
I
attractive.
think you're fucking attractive.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it in a way that is gonna make you, even if you are like, oh, that's my friend. Because Sam, you would hear that and you would be like, yo, that's my friend. But the way I said, if somebody said
Exactly.
that, it's like, well,
Because you're listening to him and you go, oh, he's kind of coming on to her, but no one would ever be able to say that. It's like just enough on the line.
he on the line. It's like a comedian or something.
Yeah.
He was completely on the line.
Either way, you could defend either side.
Yep. But he is in the wrong, I would say overall, for bringing it up at all.
Well, she thinks so too. She thinks he's coming on to her heart.
But he is. I mean, well,
He is.
my nigga, he is. It's just in a really clever way.
And he's like, so that it like, because she says he's going with her.
He's like, what? Yeah.
She's like, you're going with her, and he's like, so, and so he's like, so you're coming on to me. And he's like, no, I wasn't. And they're walking to the car, and she's like, doesn't want to be near him. And he's like, can a man say a woman is attractive without it being a come on?
Yo, Billy, why you do it? Now he's talking
yeah.
at his ass. Now he's trying to save himself.
And he goes, all right. For argument's sake, let's say I was coming on to you. What do you want me to do about it? I take it back, okay? I take it back. And she goes, you can't take it back. It's already out there. And he's like,
She is the most adorable person I've ever heard in my life. This is you, I think.
I know, I think so. The whole time I'm watching, I'm like, I think this is us.
Yeah, Jesus.
He's like, oh no, it's already out there. Call the cops.
Yo, this nigga is a piece of shit,
I
fool.
love him so much. The whole time, like, this is Deric.
Oh, my Lord, Billy. Mike.
And she's just like, just let it lie, okay? He's like, great, we'll let it lie. That's my policy. I like to let it lie. Let's let it lie. And he goes, want to spend a night at the motel? And he says, see what I did there? I didn't let it lie.
Bad boy.
Harry, I said I would, and then I didn't. What are you going to do? Harry! And then he's like, all right, we're just friends. Great, we're just friends. And then they kind of like start driving. And as the night goes on, he goes, you realize, of course, we can never be just friends. And this is the most important, like people, you know, you hear the orgasm thing, but this is, people quote this all the time. He says, you realize, of course, we can never be best friends, just be friends. And she goes, why not? He says, what I'm saying is men and women can't be friends because the sex part is always in the way. She goes, that's not true. I have a number of male
Oh,
friends
this girl.
that
She's
don't
like
wanna have-
every girl. She's like,
Yeah.
I get why I say it because she's like, oh, this is every fucking girl in the universe.
And he immediately tells her she doesn't. And she goes, yes, I do. And he goes, you only think you do. You're saying I'm having sex with all these men without my knowledge? No. I'm saying they all want to have sex with you.
Without your knowledge. Or with, whatever you want to have.
And she immediately goes, they do not. And he goes, they do too. They do not. They do too. How do you know?
Because I want to fuck you, bitch. What you mean?
Exactly. He says, because no man can stay friends with a woman he finds attractive. He always has to have sex with her. So you're saying that, and then she goes, so you're saying that a man can be friends with a woman he finds unattractive. Nah, you pretty much want to nail them both.
Yeah, you want to, still, even if she's not attractive, bro, I want that ass.
What if they don't want to have sex with you? Doesn't matter, because the sex thing is already out there and the friendship is ultimately doomed. And that is the end of the story. Well, I guess we're not going to be friends then. I guess not. That's too bad. You were the only person I knew in New York. And then we hear the music, the jazzy music, and the scene changes, and the sun is coming up, and it's New York City. They're there.
The Big Apple.
The Big Apple. It's beautiful. Not a
Wait,
lot
so
of...
she doesn't know anyone in New York? She's just moving to New York.
She's moving to New York to pursue her career. She just graduated college.
He's from New York. He's
from
a New Yorker. That's
a
why
New
he's an
Yorker.
asshole.
That's why he's an asshole.
This is all adding up. Okay.
Also, kind of like, they don't talk about this, but it explains why he doesn't have a car. And she does.
No, it all adds up. This clearly was thought out.
Oh, the song that's playing when they're coming into New York is Tomato, Tomato, da-da-da. Let's call the whole thing off. And it's beautiful. There's no one on the road, which doesn't make any sense. Like, there's like 3 other cars.
Yeah, New York City, baby.
Yeah, New York
It's only
City.
a couple people here.
She drops him off at Washington Square Park. You know,
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that with the arch.
Uh-huh.
And he gets out and he goes like, thanks for the ride. And she's like, yeah, it was interesting. And he's like, well, it was nice knowing you. And they awkwardly shake hands. He walks one way. She gets in her car and drives off.
Beautiful.
So we see a different old couple doing an interview now. And the woman says, we fell in love in high school. And the man goes, yeah, we were high school sweethearts. The woman says, our junior year, his parents moved away. And he's like, but I never forgot her. And she says, he says, and she repeats that because they're so cute. They're like old people. He goes, no, he never forgot me. He said, her face was burned in my memory. And then 34 years later, I was walking down Broadway and I saw her coming out of Taffanetti's.
That's dope.
Right? And then she goes, we both looked at each other and it was as though not a single day had gone by. 34 years. And the man says, she was just as beautiful as she was at 16. And she goes, he was just the same.
Don't cry. Don't you cry. Okay.
Don't you cry.
I thought you were really about to cry.
She grabs his hand and like looks in it. It's just the same.
Okay.
Oh, really? That one hits me all the time.
Nice.
They're very cute.
No, that was really nice.
Go fade to black. New scene. 5 years later.
That made me happy.
5 years later. Sally is at the airport.
5 years later. Wow. I love this.
You see Sally, she's making out with this tall blonde guy at the airport. And they're like really getting into it. You know, like how Harry was with his girl. Zach kind of making out. And just as like they're like in the thick of it, you see Harry kind of walking by him and he stops and looks at them. But he doesn't talk to Sally. He's like, Joe. He knows the guy.
Crazy. This is so well written.
Joe, I thought that was you. And the guy's like, Harry Burns, how you doing? And they're talking. And as soon as he says Harry Burns, Joe, Sally realizes who it is. You can see it on her face.
Harry.
Yeah. And she's trying to like, kind of like, don't look at me. Like she doesn't want him to
She doesn't want him to recognize her.
Mm-hmm. But you can tell he's recognized her but can't place her. Because he's like, this is Sally Albright. And introduces the two.
He's like,
huh. But he can't place her.
Bro, because he rolled with this. Bro, this is awesome. All right.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is how good this movie is. Why didn't nobody tell me?
Yeah, it's really good.
I guess everyone told me. I just didn't watch it.
So after they do their little thing, they walk off. And as he walks off, Sally's like, thank God he didn't remember me. And her boyfriend's like, why? What? And she's like, I drove from Chicago to New York with him after college. It was awful. And the boyfriend, you could tell, is kind of like, did you fuck him? Like, that's the look he's like.
Of course.
He's like, what happened? And then she just kind of like relates the story and like, he tried to come on to me and, you know, like he was dating one of my friends. I can't even remember her name. What was her name?
Hilarious. That's college though.
Mm-hmm. And she finally remembers. She goes, Amanda Reese, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, I can't believe, this is what I do remember, she says. I remember he said, men and women can never be friends. Do you think that's true, Joe? And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, do you have any woman friends? He's like, I don't, but if you'd like me to, I will get one. Like, he's really into her.
Oh, he's a loser.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's a handsome guy. Like,
he's a loser.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what he just said was a loser. Yeah. That was a loser.
But she has to catch her plane. So he's like, I'm going to miss you. And he's like, I love you. And she's like, you do? I love you too. It's the first time they're obviously saying it. Uh-huh. And she goes to catch her plane. So she's on the plane. And they're both on the same plane.
Who?
Harry and Sally.
No, they not.
Yes, they are. They're both on the same plane.
Oh, because he's coming to the airport.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
They're both on the same plane.
This is crazy.
They're both on the same plane. And you see the shot. It's like Sally sitting next to a stranger. And then Harry's in the seat behind her. But he's kind of like looking over at her, like trying to place her still. Still can't figure out who she is. And then the plane waitress comes up and asks her order, and she's like, do you have Bloody Mary mix? And she's like, yeah. Oh, wait, okay. I want Bloody Mary mix, but then a splash of, but just a splash, and then a lime, but on the side. And then fill it up 3/4 of the way with tomato juice. So she's giving this crazy order, and that's when Harry realizes who it is.
I know this bitch.
He goes, University of Chicago, right?
Wait, so he turns around and says it? Like
he leans over the chair because he's behind her.
He's behind, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah. He goes, University of Chicago, right? And she goes, yes. Because she's like, damn it. He's like, and then he says, did you look this good at University of Chicago?
He hits on her.
Yeah, he says, immediately.
Yo, this nigga is trash. I love it. He's a trash nigga.
She goes, no. And then he's like, did we ever? No. We didn't.
Yo, he was fucking everybody.
Yeah. And then she turns to the guy next to her who she doesn't know. And she goes, we drove from Chicago to New York together.
And he's just like, what the fuck is going on?
She's like, would you guys like to sit together? And she says no. And Harry's like, yes, thank you.
Of course, because bro, this guy is, wow. Unbelievable.
He goes, you were good friends with Amanda.
Oh, even though she ain't remember it either.
But she acted like she
knew it. Bro, she ain't
she's
shit.
Such a chick.
She ain't shit, bro.
And she goes, I can't believe you couldn't remember her name. And he's like, yeah, whatever happened to her? And she's like, I have no idea. And he's like, you have no idea. You guys were good friends. That's why we didn't make it.
Fire. Way to go, Harry. Way to just keep zinging her, dog.
Yeah. And he goes, you were going to be a gymnast, a journalist.
Yo, now he's being an asshole.
Yeah, right. That's what I said. I'm a journalist. I work at the news.
At the what?
At the news. Like, I guess.
The Daily
News.
Yeah.
That's what she says on the thing. I work at the news. And she's, and great, you're with Joe. Well, that's great. Great. You're together for what? 3 weeks? A month. How did you know that? You take somebody to the airport at the beginning of a relationship. That's why I never taken anyone to the airport at the beginning of a relationship, because I don't want later in the relationship to be like, why don't you take me to the airport anymore?
That's not true. That not true.
You don't think so?
No,
I think at a different time it might have been true.
bro. That's insane. I'm taking you to the airport every time. Every time. Why would I not? If I have a car,
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking you to the airport, or you're taking me. Like and that's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. What he said, I would disagree with that. I'd be like, that's crazy. I'm like, you sound like a piece of shit. Why don't you want to just take me to the airport? Do you love me, my nigga? Then making sure I get there. The fuck's wrong with you?
Well, she felt similarly to how you're feeling.
Good.
She's
right on this one.
It's amazing. You look like a normal person, but actually you're the angel of death.
Yeah, she is correct. He is a piece of shit, dog.
So he asked her if she's gonna marry Joe, and she's like, "Nah, we've only been together for a month, and we're not looking for that right now." And he's like,
Even though you just said I love you, this nigga.
Mm-hmm.
She's a liar, bro. She is a woman.
and he's like, "Well, I'm getting married." And you can tell that kind of bothers her. She goes, "You are? Mm-hmm. You're getting married." Yeah. Who is she? Helen Hilson. She's a lawyer. She's keeping her name. You're getting married. It's just so optimistic, Harry.
Interesting. All right, why are you hating?
Will you be amazed what falling madly in love can do for your life? Well, it's wonderful. It's nice. I'm glad you're embracing life like this. And he goes, yeah, plus, you can just get to a certain point where you're tired of the whole thing. And she's like, what whole thing? It's like, the whole dating thing of being a single guy, like taking him out for lunch, like, do you want to go to dinner afterwards? Maybe you go dancing, you do the white man's overbite.
Funny.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. And eventually, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want someone to love me.
This nigga is selfish.
Yeah. Oh, and he says also in the date, he's like, he also hates the part about the date when you're laying there in bed and you're like, how long do I have to lay here before I can get up and go home?
Yo, that's wild.
Yeah, he's like, is 30 seconds enough? And she's looking at him like he's a complete monster.
You know what's crazy? And this is me being honest. And I'm with my girl, but every time that's ever happened after sex with a person, right? A lot of guys always say that, like, oh man, I got to get up and get out of here. I am trying to fuck again.
You could go all day.
I'm trying. I never left because it's like, well, sometimes if I keep hanging, nigga, I'll get some more booty.
Yeah, you're like you treat it like a all-you-can-eat buffet. Like,
I like booty.
If I go for lunch, but then stay all day, I can also get dinner.
I can just get dinner. Yo, what? I'm gonna go eat somewhere else. Like
I already paid the price.
I already paid the price. If I just hang long enough, bro, yeah. I'll be hungry again and I can eat dinner here. I've only ever gotten up quickly after sex one time. I remember it. One time.
Why?
It was with the girl who in college I thought gave me an STD. And I'm such a piece of shit. And after all that, we broke up. And then I like sex so much. One time she was hitting me up and I was back home in Memphis. This is way after that now. And I was like, I'm still going to go fuck this bitch. And I went and fucked her again.
Did you get tested after that situation?
Hmm?
Because if you thought she gave you
after the second time?
Yeah, the first time.
Well, that's only because she told me. She was like, hey, I just tested. And I was mad that it's like, yo, why the fuck would you fuck me if you knew that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, this is the other thing. What kind of STD did she say she had?
Oh, it was like chlamydia.
Oh, okay. Because like some of them, it's like you would have to be going to get tested regularly to notice
No, some guy gave her chlamydia while we were dating. I can't say shit either. I was also fooling around. I mean, we were in college.
It was a different. It was what
You're young.
Yeah.
But at the same time, but I just do but the second when I went back and had sex with her after this is years later. I do remember after I was like, this was bad. And I got up and left. And she was like, that was the first time anyone's ever and I came quick too. Oof. It was the whole thing, like one of those quick ones. Came quick, and then I was like, ugh. And then I put my pants on and just and she was like, wow, really? And I was like, yeah. And I remember that. It was like that too. It was like that feeling that like, so I've only ever had that once. But the rest of the times it's like, yeah, just lay there.
Oh, he's saying it's like that all the time.
Yeah, I know. That's what he's saying.
It's always like 30 seconds enough. And she's like, and he's like, what's your problem? Because she's looking at him crazy. And he's like, what, do you want him to stay all night? That's your problem. Your problem is somewhere between 30 seconds and all night.
He says that to her?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they land, and they're on one of those moving sidewalks. And she's just reading the newspaper alone, and he comes up and stands next to her. He's like, staying over? She's like, yeah. And he's like, you want to have dinner tonight? As friends, just friends. And she said, I thought you didn't believe men and women could be friends. He's like, when did I say that? And she goes, on the drive to New York. No, I never said that. Yes, I did say that. They can't be friends unless both of them are involved with other people, in which case they can. So we can go to dinner together.
Yo, this nigga is a savage.
Yeah. And then he says, nah, I'm wrong about that too. That doesn't work because the person who you're involved with can't understand why you would need a friendship like that. Why are you going outside of the relationship for something that you could get in here? And then the person you're with that suggests that maybe you're attracted to that person. And let's face it, you probably are.
Yeah, he's not lying.
And then where does that leave us? And then she's like, Harry, goodbye. And she kind of walks off. And he goes, okay. And then he starts walking with her because they're on a moving sidewalk. There's nowhere to go. He's like, I'll just let you go. And he stands on the sidewalk while she keeps going. So it fades to black. There's another old person interview. And it's I'm trying to remember which. Okay, so it's an old like Italian couple, and he's like, we were married 40 years ago, and after 3 years of marriage, we got a divorce, and then I married Marjorie, and then the wife goes, but you lived with Barbara first. And he's like, yeah, but then I married Marjorie, and then we got a divorce, and she's like, right, and he goes, and then I married Katie, and the wife goes, another divorce. Then a couple years later at Eddie Colicchio's funeral, I ran into her. I was with some other girl I don't even remember. Roberta. Right, Roberta. But I couldn't take my eyes off you. I remember I snuck over to her and I said, what did I say? And she says, you said, what are you doing after? So I ditch Roberta, we get coffee. A month later, we're married. 35 years to the day after our first marriage.
Crazy. Fire. Also fire. I fuck with that story too. I like a good story.
So Sally is at brunch with two of her friends. Oh, this is also a couple years later. This is probably like 5 years later. She's at brunch with two of her friends, one of which is Carrie Fisher. You know Carrie Fisher? Princess Leia.
Oh, shit.
Yes. And their other friend is barely in the rest of the movie. It's mostly Carrie Fisher. And they're all talking about how Carrie like found this receipt in her boyfriend's stuff.
And she's friends with who? She's friends with Sally?
They're all friends with Sally. It's a group of three. It's Sally, Carrie Fisher.
And where are they?
They're just out to brunch, having food, chilling, girl stuff. And Carrie Fisher's complaining about how she found a receipt in her boyfriend's briefcase. He just bought his wife a dining room table. He's never going to leave his wife. And both the other girls are like, of course he's not going to leave his wife. This is a... Like clearly,
oh, she's a side bitch.
Yeah, this is clearly like an ongoing conversation. The way they're reacting to it, like he's never gonna leave his wife.
Oh, she's whoever this girl is, she's deep in it. Yeah, I get it.
Because Carrie Fisher's character's name is Marie. So Marie goes, "You're right. And
this is Carrie Fisher who's saying this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all the other friends are like, "Why can't you just find someone single?" And the one girl's like, "Sally found someone," and Sally goes, "I just broke up with Joe." Ooh. And both the girls are like, what? Why didn't you tell us? And Carrie Fisher's like, Joe's available?
Yo.
And she's going on about how like it's been coming on for quite a while. It's not really that big of a deal. And all the other girls are like, but yeah, you guys are a couple. You had someone to spend holidays with.
Oh, they're single.
Well, the one girl's married, but Carrie Fisher's like desperately single. Like
Yeah, okay.
with this, like she's dating a married guy.
She's a side bitch, desperately single.
Yeah.
I understand.
But this is also I found a very common trope in like 90s rom-coms is this idea that women will never you're like worried that you're never going to find someone to marry you before your time is up. That was huge. Even though all these women have like really good jobs.
Yeah. I think that's real.
Yeah, it probably is. Well, also back then, especially, it was the first generation that would have experienced even having careers like that.
Yeah, like careers like that. Yeah.
And then Carrie's trying to like, oh, well, let me set you up with someone since you're so over him. And she's like, oh, I don't want to go out with anyone first. I don't want to go out with anyone yet. But she wants to know who it is. And so when Carrie tells her who it is, she's like, you set me up with him 6 years ago. And plus he's married now.
That's hilarious.
So she says she's not married, she's not ready. And then both the girls are just like, I'm just saying, don't wait too long to get out there. The women are swooping up men left and right. You wouldn't want some other girl to take the man that was meant for you. And she's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I'm just saying the right man for you might be out there right now. And if you don't grab him, someone else will. And you'll have to spend the rest of your life knowing someone else is married to your husband.
That is some crazy shit to think.
All right, so it's...
How can it be the man for you, nigga, if he ain't with you?
You never even met him.
He ain't with you, bitch. Like, what?
So it's a football game. It's Giants versus Lions.
Okay, fuck yeah.
You can tell, like, it's like a great game. Everyone's like, you know, there's constant, like... And you see Harry with his friend at the football game. And...
A guy.
This guy with his mustache. He's not a famous actor. Like, I kind of recognize him, I guess. I looked him up. I didn't know any of his other movies. And the friend goes, when did this happen? And Harry's like, just today. She says to me, I don't know if I want to be married anymore like that. Oh, it was just last week. Sorry.
But he's getting divorced.
Yeah, he's getting divorced. And she says, the way she says it, she comes in and she's like, I'm not sure I want to be married. Like it's the institution. Like it's not about us. You know, like she doesn't like the idea.
That's what people say when they want to fuck somebody else.
Exactly. And he says, and I'm like, well, let's take some time. Let's talk about it. But then the next day she says she wants a trial separation, but we can still date. And I'm like, I got married so I could get out of dating.
Yeah.
Now I got to date my wife who's supposed to love me. And then it occurs to me, maybe she doesn't. And I'm like, don't you love me anymore? And she apparently tells him, he says, you know what she says to me? She's like, I don't know if I ever did.
Facts. Damn. But that's on you, bro. But yo, bro, he never loved her.
Right?
So that's why it's like you got to hear how you was talking about this bitch before y'all was about to get married, bro. You didn't ever love her.
So when she says, I don't know if I ever did, there's like a huge score at the game and everyone... That's
so funny.
And they both get up to do it with the rest of the team. Like the conversation is just part of the game. You know?
Yeah.
So that happens and the guys go, that's harsh. You don't bounce back for that quickly. That's what his friend says. And Billy's like, thanks. He's like, no, that's really harsh. I know dialogue. I'm a writer. That is particularly harsh. And then Billy says, then she tells me somebody in her office is going to South America and she can sublet his apartment. And just as she said that, like as if it was a cartoon, the bubble of her voice would still be in the air. The doorbell rings and I go to the door. Who's there? The movers. And I'm like, Helen, when did you call these movers? And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, when did you make an appointment to move out? You just told me you moved out. You're moving out. Mm-hmm. When did you make this appointment? And she goes, a week ago. And he's like, a week ago? You knew you were going to leave me a week ago? And she says, I didn't want to ruin your birthday.
That is the worst.
And then as he says that, another crowd wave happens at the game stadium, and his friend's just feeling bad for him. And then Harry says, the bad part is, it's all a lie. And his friend, Jess, that's the name of the friend, he's like, what do you mean it's all a lie? He's like, she's in love with someone else.
Of course.
Just like, how do you know? He's like, because I follow them. He's like, she's living with him, and I follow
the guy that she was going to sell. Of course.
Yeah, I follow
him. That's what that was, yeah.
And Jess goes, that's so humiliating. He's like, I know. Tell me about it. I always knew it would blow up in my face. I always had this feeling that I couldn't be happy forever. She would just break my heart and blow up in my face. And Jess is like, no. That's not how it is. Marriages don't break up because of infidelity. It's always a symptom of a larger problem.
Ooh.
And then Billy goes, oh, really? A symptom? That symptom is fucking my wife.
Ooh. They're both right.
Yeah.
They were both right on that one. God damn.
It's a different day, but clearly like maybe kind of just a couple weeks from that. And Sally and Marie are at a bookstore. And Marie's talking about how she just found her boyfriend.
Talking about Princess Leia?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Princess Leia. She's talking about she just happened to see her boyfriend's American Express bill, and that she doesn't think he's ever going to leave his wife again.
Jesus.
And Sally's like, no one thinks that. And you see Harry's kind of like around the corner at the bookstore looking at them, and Marie goes, someone's staring at you in personal growth. You know, that section of the... And Sally looks and she goes, oh, I know him. You might like him. He's married. And she's like, who is he? Harry Burns. He's a political consultant. How do you know he's married? Last time I saw him, he was getting married 6 years ago. Well, he might not be married anymore. And he's coming this way. She's like, oh, he's so obnoxious. And he also never remembers me. And as soon as she says that, he goes, Sally Albright. Like, he remembered it this time. He goes,
yeah, he growing up, though. He a grown man now,
Which
dog.
also broken his heart.
Yeah, he's growing up. Like, yo, also saying the little line, the writing is so good that he's like, oh, where? Personal growth. Like, just that, because it's like, of course, this nigga is hurt. He's growing up. Like, this is very well written.
It's really well written. So it's a Nora Ephron, the same person who wrote You Got Mail.
Greatest rom-com of all time. That makes sense. Just like that. This is like, you know what I'm saying? And also, Meg Ryan knows how to just fucking kill these kind of characters, these kind of women.
Yeah, she's really good at being this kind of like sweet girl next door thing. So Harry comes up and she's like, hi, Harry. And she goes to introduce Marie, but Marie's already walked away. Like, she's like, I'll let you guys have a
okay.
You know? And she goes, oh. And he asks how Joe is. And she's like, we just broke up. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, how's married life? And he says, I'm getting a divorce. And she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Well, what happened? What happened with you guys? And then the scene changes and they're at like a restaurant, like just talking and hashing out like their previous relationships with each other. Because they're clearly just both
got broke up and they grown now though.
Yeah.
Like you said 6 years later, they grown. These niggas is like what, 28 now? 20, they old now.
Mm-hmm. They're like 30. They're 31.
Oh, so they look how they supposed to look now. Mm-hmm. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
This movie all does make sense. Okay.
Yeah. Because when they were in the airport, they were like 28, 29.
Oh, so they're like 35.
They're like 32. I think she's supposed to be 31 or 30. They're like 32.
Okay. They're our age.
They're our age.
Wow.
They look like our age. It's so interesting looking at people from a different time that are our age because they're dressed like
a different
older people.
Yeah, so it makes them look older already.
It makes them look older because the older crew.
God, we're going to be that way one day.
I know. I think we're probably already labeled that way.
I'm sure we are. We don't even know. I'm a child.
Yeah.
You're a little boy. We're children.
That's what we are. So Sally's telling him about what happened with Joe. She's saying when they got together, they wanted exactly the same things. They wanted to live together, but they didn't want to be married. Everyone they knew who was married was so unhappy, and they stopped having sex when they had kids, and they didn't want that for themselves.
Hey, everybody. When you have kids, you're not going to have sex. I don't know why people are shocked by this. Like, it's like, yeah.
You can't have as much sex.
And also, Sam, literally, they tell you after you have the baby, like, you guys can't have sex for, like...
Oh, yeah,
so that, but I feel like that should be a let you know, like, hey, that is, I feel like for the man to know, like, hey, things are about to be different.
Yeah.
Because she pushed up being out of her.
Yeah.
Not to say she's not gonna have sex, but it's just like, shit is gonna be different now, dog.
Yeah, her body is different. I'm sure how she feels about it is different.
That's like, what everything is different.
About like the idea of your penis being in there where her baby was.
So it's just like maybe fellas, and I mean I don't know because we're not there yet, and I can't wait to be there. But just because I've heard that a million trillion fucking times, and it's like, okay, well I'm not gonna, and you know how much I want sex, but it's like, okay, well like you have to sacrifices in life.
Yeah. But that's what they wanted to avoid. That was her point.
Yeah.
She was like, they don't have to sacrifice. They were saying how great their relationship was because they could fly off to Rome at a moment's notice, or they could fuck on the kitchen floor and there would never be any kids to walk in. And they had the perfect relationship, they thought. And then one day she was out with like her friend's daughter, and the daughter, they were
Who's saying this?
This is Sally. This is all still Sally explaining to him, her and Joe.
Wait, so say it again.
So she was saying her and Joe loved their relationship because they weren't going to get married and have kids.
And they were having sex on the floor.
They could have sex on the floor if they wanted to.
But they weren't.
Can you just let me tell
Okay,
the story?
I'm sorry.
Or they could fly off to Rome at a moment's notice. Like, these are things she actually says. But then one day she's out with her friend's daughter and they're playing I Spy, and the daughter sees like a dad and some kids and a mom, and she goes, I see a family. And this makes Sally cry. And so she goes home and she's like, and I told Joe. And I was like, I thought I didn't want this, but this is something that I really want. We never go to Rome on a moment's notice.
We don't fuck on the yeah, okay, I was right. Okay.
And
First off, Sally's not fucking on the floor. She's not doing it. She's not going to Rome. I've met this woman.
Well, because Harry goes, and the kitchen floor, she's like, not once, a very hard, cold ceramic tile. And she's like, so we talked about it, and I said what I wanted, and he said what he wanted, and it was different, so it was over. And he left. And I'm fine. I feel like that was all he could give me. And I'm convinced that I did the right thing. And he says, wow, boy, you sound really healthy. Yeah. So their conversation continues outside, and she's saying, at least I got the apartment. Such a New York thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that's what everyone keeps telling me. But it's not that hard to find an apartment in New York as people act. You just got to read the obituary column.
Interesting.
He's like, yeah, you just go read the obituary column and you tip the door guy. And then you got an apartment. What they really need to do is combine the obituary and the real estate section. Mr. Klein died leaving behind a wife, 2 children, and a spacious 3-bedroom apartment with a wood-burning fireplace.
Well, a 3-bedroom in New York?
know,
Who is this
yeah.
trillionaire?
Yeah.
Bro, a junior 1-bedroom. A junior, not a regular 1-bedroom. You know, the smaller version of a 1-bedroom. Like a junior, it's like a kind of a 1-bedroom. Like there's a little bit of a separation thing, so it makes it feel like you have a actual 1-bedroom with your living room and your kitchen, right? Bro, $8,500 a month, and you had to pay 6 months in advance. It's $50,000. It's $50,000 to live in a junior 1-bedroom in New York. Are you out of your fucking mind? Why would anyone live there?
Yeah, that sounds awful. It feels
That's
like
terrible.
you're paying to be in a prison.
Yeah, dude, and like paying all the money you could ever
Everything
have.
you're making.
The fuck out of it. And then food's expensive there and everything else. It's not like it's not like, okay, you're paying all that much money for your apartment, but food is like $1. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's all the same.
It's all the same. Everything's expensive.
Except the subway. I guess that's what they're like,
That's
well, you don't have to
affordable.
drive,
Yeah, that's affordable.
but you can get robbed on it and murdered and
I
raped.
guess you could make more money. Your money making potential is higher, right?
That's what they say. I mean,
Yeah,
I give it only LA and New York, the trickle. There's just so many rich people that there's more trickle down than let's say.
Yeah, there's more jobs for people to cater to the rich.
Yeah, so then let's say Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee, there's way less trickle of just millionaires and billionaires' money just falling down to everyone else.
But also, like, you have to think about, like, Memphis, Tennessee, but with Memphis, Tennessee, your money goes farther. So it's like, does it really even out?
Your money does go farther, but there's also not as many.
No, yeah. There's not as many, but my point is,
Rich
it's
people.
like, what's the point of making more money if your money doesn't go that far?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have to make more money. You're surviving now.
Yeah.
It's different. Like you just said, you're using all your money to survive. Even though you're making a lot of money. If you, like you said, if you were in fucking Memphis, you'd be like, damn, I'd have a house.
Yeah. I definitely have a house. And then, so wait, what's the...
$8,500 a month in Memphis? You have not only a house, you got a fucking place, bro. We talking about the full front yard, full backyard, upstairs, downstairs, probably a basement or an attic, and like 3-4 bedrooms, living room, beautiful kitchen, maybe 3-4 bathroom. Like, bro, you're in the money.
But the real thing you're paying for in New York is just the fact that everyone else is there.
It's a stupid thing to pay for.
That's a really stupid thing to pay for.
I like space.
I like space too. So Harry tells her...
You know my favorite thing on a keyboard?
The space bar? Okay, I can't believe I stopped the movie for that. Harry tells her he didn't really like her that much, and when he first met her, and she says, "I didn't like you." He's like, "Yeah, you did. This
nigga.
You were just too uptight back then. You're much softer now." And she says, "I hate that kind of remark. It sounds like a compliment, but it's really an insult." And he goes, "Okay, you're still hard as nails. I just didn't want to sleep with you. And you had to write that off as a character flaw instead of dealing with a possibility that it might have something to do with you." He goes,
Fair.
and then he apologizes to her. And then she's like, "Would you like to do dinner or something?" And he goes, "Are we becoming friends?" She's like, "Well, yeah." It's like, "Great. A woman friend. You know, you're the first attractive female I haven't wanted to sleep with in my entire life." And she's like, "That's wonderful, Harry."
That's not true.
I know.
You only said that because you're like, yo, I'm really trying to fuck now.
And then they walk through the park. So there's another old people interview. And this one's hard to do because they're talking over each other the whole time, saying pretty much the same thing. But the general message is they were born in the same hospital in 1921, 7 days apart. They grew up a block away from each other. They moved to a different neighborhood and were like a couple blocks away from each other. And then they worked like a couple places away from each other for years and years and years. And then they finally meet each other in Chicago on an elevator. And he rides up 9 more
That's
floors
awesome.
to be with her. Yeah. And so that's a really cute story, but it's hard to do because they're just
No, but like I like all the different versions of these stories, bro.
yeah, they're all really cute. Like that is
they
how people
feel
would be.
real. Yeah.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
I'm sure they got them from someone. So we see a montage of Harry and Sally kind of living their lives, and the whole time there's a voiceover of one of their phone calls, and they're like talking about Casablanca and life.
Oh, they homies now.
Yeah, they're homies.
Like now they're like best friends.
Yeah, you see images of them like, at work, running errands, just doing daily life. And he's like asking her, so you'd rather be with Laszlo than Humphrey Bogart? And she says, when did I say that? And he goes, on the drive from Chicago to New York. And she said, I would never say that. And he's like, all right, fine, have it your way. And then there's more scenes, and he's in his empty apartment, and she's asking him, like, have you been sleeping? And he goes, why? Oh, no, he asked her if she's been sleeping, and she says, why? And he's like, because I haven't been sleeping. I miss Helen. And you see them, like, more voiceovers, more of them doing things together. They're getting Chinese together. You can't see her ordering, but you could tell that she's making a really long order while they're getting Chinese.
They're just they're putting that
that's like
emphasis.
such a really big part of her personality.
Yeah.
So they're both, the phone call's still going on. They're both now in their own beds watching Casablanca over the phone. And he's telling her that Ingrid Bergman's solo maintenance. And she asks what that means. And he's like, well, there are two kinds of women, high maintenance and low maintenance. And she says, which am I? And he's like, you're the worst kind.
Hi.
You're high maintenance, but you think you're low maintenance.
Yeah, that's the devil.
Yeah. And she says, I don't see that. And he starts mimicking her dinner order. And then he's like, and on the side, and on the side, and on the side.
Yo.
On the side is a very big deal for you. Well, I just want it the way I want it. And he goes, I know. High maintenance.
Yeah. I will say this, Sam. You are low maintenance.
I am.
You're very low maintenance.
I would never order anything like that. That sounds horrible.
No, you don't do. You live off Sam's. You live off the Sam.
The vibe.
A low frequency. You know what I mean? You're not trying to get too up here. Yes. You're very. You want things to be chill.
Yeah. High maintenance is exhausting, but she can't. She's just so uptight. She's still uptight.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
So Casablanca ends, and Harry says that he's coming down with like some kind of 24-hour tumor, and she's like, you're fine. And he's like, nah. And she's like, will you be able to sleep? And he's like, I'll just sit here and moan. And she's like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Good night. And they both hang up, and she goes and turns off. You see, like, it's a split screen. You see both of them. She turns off her light, and he's literally sitting in bed, and you just hear him go, like he's like actually moaning,
This thing is hurting.
He's really hurting. It's a different day. They're walking down a fall New York City street. She looks so cute. She has like this cute little blazer and a hat on. It's actually the image of them that's on the cover of the movie.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You've seen that image. And he's telling her he had that dream again last night, the one where he's making love and an Olympic judges are watching.
Hilarious.
It's like, I got a 10 from the Canadians, a 10 from the Americans. And then my mother, disguised as an East German judge, gave me a 5.6. Must have been the dismount.
That's funny.
And she said, I had the same one I had when I was 12. And she's talking about her sex fantasy. And he's like, well, what happens? There's this guy. What's he look like? He's faceless. Okay. And then what happens? He rips off my clothes. And then what? That's it.
That's so fucking... Yo, Meg Ryan. Oh, my God.
That's it? A faceless guy rips off your clothes? That's your sex fantasy? And she goes, well, sometimes it varies a little. Which part? What I'm wearing.
Yo, she can't not be in control.
She's so cute. So it's still the same day, but now they're like in the Met. In the Met, there's this really cool room where there's all these windows, and it's like this big fake tomb If we ever go, we'll have to go there. But it's like you see it and you're like, if you've ever been in the Met, you immediately recognize it. So they're in this kind of tomb room, and he's like playing around. He goes, I have decided that for the rest of the day, we're going to talk like this. I'm not doing it right. I can't remember it. And so she's like trying to repeat after him. And he goes, the waiter, there is too much pepper in my paprikash. And then she repeats, and then he goes, would you like to go to the movies with me tonight? Or, and then she repeats, and he says, not to repeat, to answer, please. And then she goes, oh, I'd love to, but I can't. And he says, what, you got a hot date or something? And she goes, yeah, I do. And he's like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. And she's like, really? Okay, cool. Because I was wondering if it was kind of weird. I didn't want to say anything.
Because she's into him.
So much.
And she fucking wants to fuck now. But then again, but at the same time, you're like, but another motherfucker asking me out, what am I going to say? Like, I can't put my life on hold.
He's like, no, it's not weird. I'm happy for you. Go do it. And he's like, is that what you're going to wear?
Fire. He can't help himself, bro. Yeah. Cannot help himself.
And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I think you should wear skirts more. You look really good in skirts. And she goes, okay. And she's like, well, why don't you get out there? Why don't you meet someone? He goes, I wouldn't be good for anyone. And she's like, it's time, Harry. So it's a new scene, and they're I think they're in his apartment because it's empty, because Helen would have moved out. And they're unrolling this giant...
well, also think about how long Helen's been gone, and he ain't put stuff in there yet. Because you hurting still. Yeah. You're still mourning.
So they're unrolling this giant carpet for this room together, and they're going over their dates from the previous night. And they're talking about how he's like, it was the most uncomfortable night of my life. And she's like, it's the first date back. It's going to be the toughest. How bad could it be? Mine was awful. And he's like, nah, it couldn't be worse than mine. She's like, my guy pulled a hair from my head and then flossed his teeth with it. You think it could be worse than that?
What the fuck?
He says, sounds like a dream compared to my nightmare. They totally gloss over that. They don't.
You met a serial killer, girl.
Yeah. He says, sounds like a dream compared to my nightmare. I took her to an Ethiopian place, and I'm laughing and joking about how, this will be great. We'll order a couple empty plates, go get drinks, da-da-da. And, Sally giggles. He's like, see, I got nothing from her. Not even a smile with that joke. And Harry goes on to say, so I asked the girl where she went to school, and she said Michigan State. And this reminds me of Helen. All of a sudden, I'm in a massive anxiety attack.
She went to Michigan State?
That's exactly that's what she says. So I was like, Helen went to Michigan State? No, she went to Northwestern, but they're both Big Ten schools. I got so upset.
They are Big Ten schools. Damn, I get that.
I had to leave the restaurant.
Damn, Helen fucked him up, bro. He wasn't even in love with her, though.
You think you're married to someone for 6 years. That's a long time.
He might have, but he wasn't in love with her, though.
You definitely thought you were in love with her.
Yeah.
You married her. You for sure thought you were in love with
her. But we heard how he talked about her.
I didn't think it was really so much how he talked about her. I think it's how he feels. I think he would have stayed with her forever for the convenience.
That's what I'm saying. Not about her. How he talked about marriage and loving, and like does he even love himself like that? Like it's all these other things going on.
Exactly. So Sally is like kind of telling him how, these things will happen. And it might be a long time before we even enjoy going out with someone. It might be even longer before we even sleep with someone again. He's like, I went to bed with her. And Sally's like, you went to bed with her? He's like, sure. She's just like, huh. Like you can tell it's just like, it never occurred to her that you would sleep with someone that you're never going to see again.
Yeah.
So, Harry and his friend Jess, the guy with the mustache, are at the batting cages. And Jess is like, I just don't understand this relationship. You enjoy being with her, you find her attractive, but you aren't sleeping with her? No. Are you afraid to let yourself be happy? And Harry's like, this is a good thing. I'm growing. And then after he says he's growing, he gets in a fight with a 12-year-old about how it's his batting cages and he has a stack of nickels and you better fuck off, And then he's like, what was I saying? And his friend's like, you're growing. Yeah, I can say anything to her. And then the friend's like, you can't say these things to me? And he's like, nah, it's just different to have a woman's point of view. She tells me about men she goes out with and I can tell her about the women I see. And the guy's like, you tell her about other women? That's crazy. He's like, yeah, yesterday I was sleeping with this woman and I took her to a place that wasn't human and she meowed. And the friend's like, you made a woman meow? He's like, yeah, but see, this is the thing. I can tell Sally these things. That's the best part. And I don't have to like worry about, am I trying to get in bed with her? I can just be myself. And the friend's still like, You made a woman meow? New scene. Sally and Harry are in a diner. And Sally is asking about these dates. So what do you do with these women? You just get up out of bed and leave?
Oh, so he's back fucking again. He's back fucking like that. Like he was in college.
Yeah. Sure. Well, what do you say? I say I have early meeting, early haircut, early squash game. You don't play squash. They don't know that. They just met me. That's disgusting. I know. I feel terrible. And then she's like, I'm so glad we never got together. I'd just be another woman you lied to in the morning. He's like, why are you making this about you? She's like, this is about me. You are a human affront to all women, and I am a woman. Well, I've never heard anyone complain. And she goes, of course you haven't. You're always out the door too fast. And he goes, I think they have an okay time. She's like, because they... And he's like, because they... And she's like, how do you know they are really... He's like, you have to say, what do you mean? How do you know? Because are they really having an orgasm? Is that what you're asking me?
It's the scene.
And she's like, well, how do you know they aren't faking it? He's like, they weren't faking it with me. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You're a man. And he's like, what's that supposed to mean? Well, all men are pretty sure it's never happened to them, but every woman has done it. So you do the math. You don't think I can tell the difference? And she goes, no. And he's like, get out of here. And then she starts to do her. You want me to do it?
You have to do the scene. You're doing him in the movie.
You guys have to watch this on video because I'm going to do the hand motion she does with her hands too. Oh, right there. Right there. I don't want to do it anymore.
You have to tell me the movie.
I can't fake orgasms. I only do real ones. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm not good at faking them.
That's my girl.
And then, the woman says the classic line, I'll have what
she's having.
You know, interesting tidbit about that?
What?
The line, Billy Crystal wrote it. He suggested it. 2, the woman who says it is the director's mom. It's Rob Reiner. You know.
Oh, Rob Reiner. Wow.
Yeah, he directed it.
Of course.
So it's his mom.
That's why the movie's so fucking good. That's all adding up. That's so cool that he got his mom in it, though. That's awesome.
It's really cool.
I love that. And she got to say one of the most iconic scenes in movie history.
Uh-huh. It's really cool.
That's so cool.
Actually, the cast all had like a lot to do with the writing help too. Apparently, Billy gave a lot of lines because they improv'd a lot of it, and apparently so did Carrie Fisher.
So this is very much like a Curb, because it feels like a Curb. Like the dialogue is very Curb. It's very funny and dry, yeah. But like the plot is going forward, even though the plot is constantly going forward.
The plot is less structured. Also, there's more. It's more of a like.
But it's in the world. But there's no fat though. It's not like they're wasting time. Mm-hmm. Does that make they're always getting from A to B, but it's cool how they get there.
Exactly. And it's there's a lot of like you obviously needed to talk about these concepts, but you left some of it open for them to be like natural, like how real people would converse.
Exactly, which is like, damn, that's fire. That's very Curb.
So it's winter in New York City, and you see like beautiful New York City scenes, like people ice skating, the big Christmas tree, and then you start seeing scenes of Harry and Sally like doing stuff for Christmas, like little fun outings. You see them getting a tree together and carrying it back to her place. Very much like You've Got Mail when they're doing the stuff. You know what I mean? Where like they start hanging out together. That part, and then they're constantly just doing stuff. It's very like a New York scene. I feel like they use this kind of scene. It's a very New York that we're just doing stuff. Yeah, you're just doing stuff. As if stuff doesn't happen in other cities. Other places, yeah. There's no montages that happen in like Kansas City. Yeah. So they're at a New Year's Eve party and they're dancing together, and he's just shaved his face. So like this whole time since the most recent time of them meeting, he's had like kind of like a little beard. The beard, yeah, the Billy Crystal, yeah. And he's shaved his face. He's all fresh shaved, and she likes it, and she's saying how nice he looks, and they're dancing, and she kind of presses her face up against his cheek, and she's like, "See, now we can dance cheek to cheek." And when she does that, you kind of see her close her eyes, and you're like, oh, she really loves him. And you see him close his eyes because they can't see each other. And they're just dancing. And it's like, oh, they like each other for real. And then you start hearing people counting down for the New Year's. So they walk outside on the balcony, and it's like New Year's Eve. And you hear like, yay! Everyone's like kissing, and they kind of look awkwardly at each other, and then they kiss. But like a friend kiss, Nothing too sexy. And then there's another old couple interview. The wife is saying... They kiss, though? Yeah, but like, Like it's New Year's Eve. You kiss someone on New Year's Eve on the New
Yeah,
Year.
but you kissing it, but like I know you're like, oh, but it's just a kiss, but it's like, yo, but all that personal baggage. There's so much like, even though it's like, oh, it's just a peck, but it's like, yo, but there are bags behind that peck.
But they're so committed to they want to be friends.
But that's what makes that kiss way more dangerous because it's like, yo, you're playing with dynamite. It ain't like just kissing some random motherfucker at the party where you're like, oh, okay, like you said, it's just a peck, and what does it really mean? If we have all this history, if me and Hassan kiss, there's some baggage behind that kiss, bro. I don't give a fuck what you say.
You know how like because people don't do this anymore now, but when we were growing up, you saw a lot of like, you know, like you see someone you hug, you kiss on the side of the cheek kind of thing. There's a lot of that happening in this movie. So I feel like the idea of like kissing someone
But on the lips between them,
yeah,
with all the dynamite that is in both of those lips, like between how they feel about each other.
Yeah.
You're playing with fire.
It's very risky, but nothing happens. So fades to black. There's another old couple interview. The woman is telling, like, she's like, I was the head counselor. Oh, she says he was the head counselor at the boys' camp, and I was the head counselor at the girls' camp. And we went to a social one night, and I saw he was crossing the room towards us, and I thought he was crossing the room towards my friend because everyone crosses the rooms towards her. But he came up to me, and he said, and then the guy goes, I'm Ben Small of the Coney Island Smalls. And at that moment, I knew. That's what she says. I knew the way you know about a good melon.
Hilarious.
Fade to black. So Sally and Carrie Fisher are walking together, and Sally's like, you sent flowers to yourself? She's like, yeah. Carrie says, $60 I spent on this big, stupid arrangement, and I left the card in it and everything where Arthur would see it. That's the guy she's dating who's married. And what did the card say? She's like, I wrote, please say yes, love Jonathan. And Meg's like, did it work? And she's like, he never even came over. He never saw the flowers. He forgot he had some charity thing with his wife. I don't think he's ever going to leave her.
Yo, this fucking woman, dog.
I
can't even be mad at her, bro.
He's not.
I can't even be mad at her, bro.
And they're like, where is this place? They're clearly walking somewhere together. Like, and they're like, and Carrie Fisher's character, Marie, I keep forgetting to say her name. Marie says, I can't believe I'm doing this. And Sally's like, look, Harry is one of my best friends, and you are one of my best friends. And if, by some chance, you two hit it off, we don't have to drift apart the way you do when you get involved with somebody who doesn't know your friends. And she's like, we never drifted apart when I started seeing Arthur. And Sally says, if Arthur ever left his wife, and I actually met him, I'm sure that you and I would drift apart.
Hilarious.
And Marie says, he's never going to leave her, is he? And Sally's like, of course he isn't. You're right, I know. And then you see Harry and Jess, the guy with the mustache, are walking down the street. And they're like, I don't know about this.
Jess the friend. Oh my God, I already know what's going to happen. Keep going. Keep going, though.
Jess the friend goes, I don't know about this. And Harry's like, it's just a dinner. And he's like, if she's so great, why aren't you taking her out? And Harry's like, how many times do I have to tell you? We're just friends. He's like, so you're saying she's not attractive. That's what Jess says.
So wait, Sally and Harry are trying to make they two friends.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to set each other's.
But he's right. If the friend is right, because he's like, bro, why wouldn't the fuck you want to fuck her?
Yeah.
Great. I would be worried too.
So Sally's trying to set up Marie with Harry, and Jess and Harry's trying to set up Jess with Sally, so that they can all go on double dates together and be friends.
But clearly, what's going to happen is,
well, we'll see.
Go ahead.
But you said he's like, so you're saying she's not attractive, and he says she is attractive, but you said she had a good personality. And Harry says she does. And the friend's just like, like looking at him like, well,
what are you trying to tell me, dog? She's not wrong, because he's like, bro, what are you trying to tell me for?
So they're on the double date, and Jess is talking about like his favorite authors to Sally, and she's like clearly not interested. And Harry's trying to find out things about Marie and that she's an art director, but they're like not hitting it off either. Everyone looks super unhappy.
Yeah.
He's like, clearly a very not good date. And then Harry and Sally like kind of looking at each other from across the table, like, what do we do? And all of a sudden Sally goes, Harry, you and Marie are both from New Jersey. And they both go, oh, really? Where are you from? And then they exchange where they're from. And then they both look like it's Sally. Like, what next?
Damn. That ain't good.
That's not. And then Harry goes, so what are we all going to order? And then he starts to tell like Jess how Sally's like a really good orderer. He's like, you're going to love it. She always picks the best thing on the menu and she orders it in a way that even the chef didn't know how good it could be.
Hilarious. That's a really, really sarcastic way to say that.
And Jess says, I think restaurants have become too important. And Marie goes, I agree. Restaurants are to people in the 80s what theater was to people in the 60s. And then she goes, I read that in a magazine. And Jess says, I wrote that.
Oh, look, I told you. I said that.
Right? And she goes, get out of here. He's like, no, I did. I wrote that. And she's like, I never say anything I read in magazines. How crazy is that? I've never repeated anything in my life. And you wrote it? That's amazing. Isn't that amazing?
This is how people meet. It's literally like the old people story because it's like, oh, we were on a bad date with other friends. Bro, this is so fucking well written, this movie.
It's so well written.
Is Rob Reiner just a fucking woman? Did he write this?
No, Nora Ephron did.
A woman wrote this.
Yeah,
there is no way a man wrote this, bro. It's too fucking like, it's just.
All the little details.
This is crazy, but this is like, bro, I don't even know how to say it, but this is out of a woman's brain. I don't know how I know it, but it's like a man did not write. Maybe directed it, but he ain't write this, bro.
It's so like dry and it's little. That's why it's also hard because like you have to include so much dialogue.
But it's not even about that's great, the dry part. But it's like, no, bro. It's like what's happening and like why and how and the what
chance.
The chant. It's like, bro, these are like all women's like these are
dreams.
All women's biggest dreams.
Yeah.
This kind of like, oh, I never say that, and then like you wrote that, and he's like, yeah, and it's like, oh, get out of here. You know what I mean?
She's like, she can't get over how amazing it is, and Jess is like, yeah, I wrote that. And he's like, I also wrote pasta is the quiche of the 80s, and she's like, no way. And they're like, I did, and Harry and Sally are kind of looking at each other like,
oh,
okay,
what do we do with this?
What else is happening? And then she's like, Marie's like, where did I read that? And he goes, New York Magazine. That's what it says. And Harry goes, oh yeah, Sally writes for New York Magazine, and just like ignores that and just like focuses in on Marie. And they're just like chat. So after the dinner, they're all leaving the restaurant, and Marie pulls Sally aside, and she's like, hey, do you think you're going to see Jess again? Like, do you like him? Because if not, I'd like to see him. And Sally's like, oh no, I'm not going to see him again. But I don't think you should do anything tonight. You know, Harry's really sensitive. He just got it rejected in his relationship. Can you just like wait a little bit? And so while they're pulled aside, Harry and Jess are having a very similar conversation.
Obviously. Jess is like, yo, what's up with the girl, dog?
He's like, if you're not going to call Marie, can I call her? He's like, yeah, just wait a week, you know? Like,
for Sally's sake.
Says the same thing for Sally's sake. And
these niggas love each other, dude. Oh my God.
Jess immediately goes, he's like, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about tonight. And as soon as they all come back together, Jess goes, you know what? I'm kind of tired of walking. I'm going to get a cab. And Marie says, I'll share it with you. And they hail a cab and are gone like within seconds.
Yeah, they going to fuck.
They're going to fuck.
What you think? Also, not even like they're just going to fuck because that's what it's about. Like, no, they're going to fuck and then go to a diner after and like talk all night and then probably fucking like, you could feel that energy.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen right there. All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry. They leave. Harry and Sally.
That's the end of that scene.
I'm saying now Harry and Sally, what happened? They're looking at each other?
It's like they hail a cab, they're gone. You just see Harry and Sally kind of like, you know, like one of those situations. Like looking at each other like, who knows?
That's so funny because I would be like, even if I was Harry and Sally, I would be like, yo, isn't that crazy what we just did?
Now they knew all the whole time. You know, you're watching them hit it off. You're like, oh, there's no way that they're not into each other.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like they're so relaxed about them asking to ask out the other person.
Well, because but you can tell it's like they were still surprised. It's like, well, this is not how.
I didn't think it was going to go like this.
But you would think they talked with each other about that. Like, yo, that was crazy, right?
All right. So it faded to black. It's another interview. Older couple, Asian immigrant couple. And the man is just talking. He says, a man came to me and said he found a nice girl for you. She lives in the next village. We were not supposed to meet before the wedding, but I wanted to meet to make sure. So I sneaked into the village and hid behind a tree to watch her washing the clothes. And I think if I don't like the way she looks, I don't have to marry her. But she looked very nice to me. So I said okay to the wedding. And we get married. We married for 55 years. It's all in like broken English. It's kind of sad, honestly.
Yeah, because we don't know if the woman likes it at all.
She doesn't speak at all during the whole...
Does she look happy at least? Or is she like...
She's like this... She's just... No words, just solemn, just nodding as if this is exactly how it happened.
Jesus, okay.
Okay, so it's 4 months later. Harry.
It's all different kinds of love, though, baby.
All different kinds of love. I mean, they've been together a long time.
Hey.
They came all the way to America.
And sometimes you gotta, the arranged marriages don't get divorced because you fall in love with a nigga as you kind of should as time goes on. And it's not like about love. It's about like practice. I mean, that's what Hassan said. They call them love marriages. They call our marriages love marriages.
Yeah. I think
that's why they end in divorce.
also their these characters are both. I don't think the wife would have spoken English. The way they portray her, it doesn't seem like she can speak English. That's why he's saying everything.
But we still don't know if she likes it or not.
Yeah, we don't know if she likes it or not. But
they
maybe
don't
that's
get
why
divorced.
she was quiet.
They don't get divorced.
4 months later, Harry and Sally are playing around in like a Sharper Image store, like with the gadgets. And they're looking for something to give to Jess and Marie.
For their wedding.
Well, they're for their new place. They just moved in together. And she's like telling him to stop like fucking around because he just keeps playing with things. She's like, we're looking for something for Jess and Marie. We're not getting them this. And then he finds a karaoke machine and he's all excited and he starts it up and he starts singing this song from Oklahoma. It's called Surrey with a Fringe on Top. Have you ever seen Oklahoma?
No.
Da, da, da. So it's just this, he's singing it. But it's that kind of song. Da, 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 with the stinge on top. And like being a kind of idiot.
Yeah.
And she's singing with him. So they're both singing. And all of a sudden he stops. But she keeps singing and like terribly. But he's like deadpan face. Just staring.
He's in love, man.
He, not to her. Ahead.
Oh.
And she keeps singing like terribly, terribly badly. And then she's like, why'd you stop singing? It's because of my voice. It's awful, isn't it? Joe hated my voice. And then he goes, it's Helen.
Ah.
And she says into the mic, it's Helen?
Yo, I love this movie. Damn, that's fucking good comedy.
And he whispers, she's coming right toward me. And we see Helen and this other man coming towards them.
Dude, he left her with.
And she's a beautiful woman. She's not as pretty as Meg Ryan, but she's a beautiful woman. She's not cute. She's like sexy hot. Mm-hmm. And she's like, how are you, Harry? And he's like, I'm fine. And she introduces her dude. She's like, this is Ira Stone. And there's some silence. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. This is Sally Albright. And then they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll see ya. Yeah, bye. Nice to meet you, Ira. And they walk away. And Harry looks like so sad. Like they really like only say those things. They just introduce the people they're with and then walk away. It's really upsetting. And he's like clearly upset. And Sally's like, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm perfect. She looked weird, didn't she? Really weird. I never seen her like that before. Like super weird, right? She looked weird. And Sally's like, I've never seen her before. He's like, trust me, she looked weird. Her legs looked heavier. She must have been retaining water. Harry, believe me, the woman saved everything. She's retaining water. And it's still the same.
He's hot. He's just mad.
He's upset. And it's still the same day, but they're at a different place buying flowers. And he looks upset, and she keeps trying to like console him. And later in the same day, now they're at Marie and Jess's new place. And they have like a really nice apartment.
Yeah, everyone's rich, clearly.
Yeah, super rich. Well, they're all like political advisors. They
Journalists
write
and
for the
shit,
New York Magazine.
Which is so funny. Has like I think all those jobs now don't have money. Maybe
Not
not
like
the political advisor, but definitely the journalist shit.
So they're at Jess and Marie's, and the two of them, Marie and Jess are fighting over whether Jess can keep this wagon wheel coffee table. And she's telling him it's so ugly. And he's like, no, I think it's good. It looks like home. And she's like, well, let's let Harry and Sally decide. And Harry like kind of like, it's fine. But Sally like makes a face. And so they just kind of like keep bickering about it back and forth. And the whole time kind of Harry is staring off the distance.
He's not there.
He's still thinking about Helen. But Marie is saying she's trying to help Jess have good taste. And he says, I do have good taste. And she's like, everyone thinks they have good taste and a good personality. Oh, no, and it's a good sense of humor. But how could that possibly be? He's like, you don't think I have a good sense of humor? And then Harry goes, we started out like this, Helen and I. We had blank walls, things together. Then you know what happens? Then 6 years later, you're singing Surrey with a Fringe on Top in front of Ira. Do we need to talk about this right now? That's Sally. He's like, yes, we do. I want our friends to know. I want them to have the wisdom of my experience. Everything's great now, but you got to know that sooner or later you're going to be screaming at each other about who's going to get this dish. And he's like, do me a favor. put your names in all of your books, because believe me, you're gonna go 15 rounds over whose books is this, whose books is this, and at the end of it all, you're gonna be fighting over this very ugly coffee table. He's this ugly wagon wheel Roy Rogers garage sale coffee table. And then he like goes to walk off, and Jess is like, I thought you liked it.
Yo, I loved you. I'd have said the same shit. Like, my nigga, you gonna be taking out on me in the coffee table?
And Harry's like, I was being nice. And he goes out the house. And Sally explains, he's like, he ran into Helen today. And she follows him out. And so it's just Jess and Marie. And they're looking at each other. And she's like, I want you to know, I will never want that wagon wheel coffee table.
Fire.
Outside, Harry is just like, he's so upset with him and like going through all of his emotions. He's a very emotional guy. You know, he lashes out. And she's telling him, Sally's telling him he has to stop like being so emotional. She needs to handle his emotions. He can't just get mad whenever he wants and blows up. And he's like, easy for you to say, you don't get mad about anything. And he starts yelling at her about how she's never upset about Joe. And if you're so over Joe, why aren't you seeing anyone? And she says she's fine. And he's like, you haven't slept with anyone. And she's like, and what would that prove? If I sleep with someone, then I'm over him? Just like you?
Facts.
And she's
wow.
like, hey, Harry, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're going to have to move out of New York because you're going to have slept with everyone here. And he's like, are you finished now? And she goes, yes. And he's like, can I say something? Yes. And he's like, I'm sorry. And they hug. And you can tell it's really emotional. And as they're hugging, you see Jess coming and taking his coffee table to the side of the road. Like, it's not staying in the house.
That's so funny.
It's a future date, and they're all at Jess and Marie's for like a game night.
Just them?
They each brought dates.
Okay.
They each brought dates, and the girl from brunch earlier is there with her husband.
Okay, so it's a full party.
It's a full party. They're playing Pictionary. Sally's terrible at drawing. So her team's bombing really bad. So after the game, they kind of all like, there's little asides, like Marie and Sally are getting coffee together for the rest of the people in the kitchen. Jess and Harry are kind of aside speaking to each other. And Sally's like, do you think Emily is too young for Harry? That's Harry's girlfriend. And, you know, kind of like asking things about her. And Marie's like, no, she's great, blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, Harry's kind of doing the same thing with Jess. Like, oh, what do you think about this guy with Sally?
They're both hating, yeah.
They're just both hating. But it ends up being like, you can tell that both the other friends are like, hey, if you're not going to be together, we're going to like who they're dating. That's pretty much the whole point of that scene. It's a new scene. Harry is at home reading, and then the phone rings, and it's Sally, and she's upset. She asks if he can come over, and he's like, what's wrong? And she's like, Joe's getting married, her ex. He comes over, and she's like a mess. You haven't seen her cry the whole time. You never saw her cry.
This is the first time she's been in a mess. That's what he was yelling at her for.
Yeah,
You're never a mess. Yeah.
This is the first time you see her upset, and she's like in her robe. She's like clearly been crying, like her eyes are, you know, like this. Her hair is everywhere, and she's telling him how he had just called her up out of nowhere, and they were just catching up, and she had been thinking on the phone like, oh, this is so great. I'm finally over him. This doesn't even affect me. I can't believe we can be friends like this. This is so great. And then he says, I have some kind of news to tell you. And I realized I always been saying that he didn't want to get married, but what it really was, he didn't want to marry me. And she starts crying, you know. He didn't love me. And she's just crying. And Harry says, if you could take him back right now, would you? And she says, no, but why didn't he want to marry me? What's wrong with me? I'm difficult. And he goes,
she is.
And he goes, you're challenging.
There we go.
I'm too structured, completely closed off. And he goes, but in a good way. No, I drove him away. And I'm gonna be 40.
Facts.
And he goes, when? And she goes, someday. He's like, in like 8 years. And she says, but it's there. And he hugs her, and she cries, and she's like in his chest, you know, just crying all over him. He's like, it's okay, I don't like this shirt anyway. Mm-hmm. And he kisses her on the forehead, you know, like consoling.
Come on now, dog. Hey now.
And he's like, let me make you some tea. Mm-hmm. He goes to get up to make her tea, and she's like, stay a little longer, Harry. Just hold me a little longer. And he's like, sure. And he holds her a little longer. And when they come out of the hug, he kisses her. and then she kisses him back. Like, for real.
Wait, okay, but who kisses who?
He kisses her. But you can tell the kiss that he's giving her when they come out of the hug is the kind of kiss he gave her at New Year's. Like, this can be platonic, but...
No, wait, on the lips, though? Mm-hmm. No, Sam, stop with that. This could be platonic. That, if you kiss on the lips...
It's a peck. It's like,
But boo!
I know. I would never do it.
You would never.
So, and then she kisses him back, and then they're really kissing and making out. And the scene transitions, and it's just...
Holy shit.
And then they're just, it's them in bed after sex. Like, you never see them doing it. But they clearly had sex. You see his, like...
And we're talking about right after what just happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Not like days later.
No. Like, literally, like, the kiss is happening.
They fucked.
They fucked. And
she only has a robe on anyway, right?
And now we see them right after the fuck.
She only had a robe on, you said, right?
She only had a robe on.
Okay, so yeah, it's go time.
And she might have had something under her robe. It was like a big, like, it wasn't a sexy robe. It's like a big...
I'm crying robe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A comfy girl robe. And, but Sally's all like in his arms, and she's like got this like dreamy little face on. Like, she clearly had a good time. And you see his face, and he is just staring into space as if he's done the worst thing that he could possibly.
He ruined the friendship.
He knows immediately that is wrong. And she goes, but she's like kind of like, you can tell she's like, oh, we're together.
This is what this was all for. You can tell he's like, oh no, I ruined the friendship. But that's why it's like, bro, something's wrong with you, dog. You know you love this woman. Like, what's wrong with you?
She asked
You got to deal with yourself, though. He can't deal with himself. That's why he can't just love her, bro. Because he clearly loves her. Deal with yourself.
Oh, yeah. He's so messed up.
He's messed up.
He's super messed up.
Because you know you love this woman.
Yeah. So she gets up. She's like, I'm going to get you something to drink. Do you want anything? And he's like, I'm okay. He's like, sure you don't want some water or something? He's like, okay, water. He's like all these like little words. Like, he doesn't want to, he's still like.
He's nervous. He don't want to talk.
Nervous. She gets up and she's kind of flowing around the place, like, like
happy.
She's like in a daze. She's happy. And he just looks miserable. And this isn't really important to the plot, but I really like this part. So while she's getting the water, he finds this little box next to the bed, like a little index card box, and opens up and is looking through. And when she comes back, he's like, you have all your videotapes in alphabetical order and on cards.
What videotapes?
Like, your cassette, the videos you would watch.
Oh, okay.
Like your collection. She had a box of cards with all of her videotapes on it. But he's saying it like, you can tell it's like, oh, this is why I love you. You're like talking about all these crazy things about her that make you love her. And she's like, yeah, do you want to watch something? He's like, no. And she's noticing that he's being really distant. So she's like, you want to go to sleep? He's like, okay. And they turn off the lights. And that's the first time you really notice she's like, oh, this isn't right. And it's early the next morning, and you see him quietly getting dressed. And she wakes up, and she's like, where are you going? You can tell it's like her worst nightmare.
Because he's doing the thing that he does.
The thing that they've talked about over and over that he does. And he's like, I got to go. I got to go home, change my clothes, and go to work. But after that, I'd like to take you out to dinner if you're free. And she looks disappointed, but she says yes.
Because that's not how you want to act. I wanted you to kiss me on the forehead and be like, hey, I got to go to work, yada, yada, I'm about to change.
Yep.
I got to get new clothes. But
yeah, well, you were planning on walking out of here without telling me this.
That's why I don't like
That's why I'm upset.
Yep. Facts.
So he does kiss her on the forehead, and then he leaves.
But that's not the way I wanted it.
No.
This nigga is an asshole. He's an asshole. But that's on her too. For like, you knew he was an asshole. You know that's why you love him.
Yeah, that's why you love him. There's something about that. So Jess and Marie are asleep in their bed, and then you hear a phone ring. And they each have a landline on opposite sides of the bed. So Marie's is ringing, and she answers it, and it's Sally, and she's like telling her what happened. And as soon as this is happening, you hear the other one ring, and Jess answers it, and it's Harry, and they're relaying the whole story.
Yes. Are you hearing both sides of it?
Oh yeah, but it's at the same time. Mm-hmm. You hear exactly what happened at the same time, but you see Jess and Marie are kind of answering it exactly the same way, like, "Oh, that's great. We've always been wanting you guys to have sex together," and they find out that they don't like it. And they're like, "Oh man, yeah, you shouldn't sleep with someone after you find out your ex is getting married," And like that keeps happening. And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want to come?" And they both at the same time, both Jess and Marie are like, "You want to come over for breakfast?" And then they look at each other like, "We can't have them both over for breakfast." And then they both Harry and Sally are like, "No," and then they both go, "Good." And after that conversation, they hang up and they're like, "Oh, so glad I'm not out there anymore." And they like fall back into each other's arms.
Oh.
And Jess whispers in her ear, "You'll never be out there again." Like
they in love. No, they like they would no. I love their date because it's like, oh, that was meant to be.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
That was meant to be.
So you see Harry and Sally getting ready for that dinner that they spoke about, and the whole time they're getting ready, they're like, if there's voiceover of like, I have to tell him it was a mistake. We'll just say it was a mistake.
Can't do that. You can't go backwards.
I'll just say it was a mistake. And
The only thing they can do to stay friends, you have to do the Elaine Jerry. You have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And actually be like, all right, well, we're gonna go forward from here. But you cannot be like, oh, it was okay, it was a mistake. No, because like that's what I like about Jerry and Elaine. They're never like, oh, that was a mistake. They talk about it glowingly sometimes. Sometimes they make fun of it, but like they accepted that. All right, we did that. I feel like that's the only. If you're gonna try to do the whole friend thing,
yeah,
you have to do the Jerry and Elaine, like where it's like, all right, we made fun of it, we accepted it. We'll talk about it if it comes up as we keep going. Yeah, we're like, it doesn't. It's not weird to bring it up. That's the thing. It can't be weird to bring
let it
up.
Run its course.
You have to let it run its course. Yeah.
You can't stifle something and then expect it not to keep coming back.
And if the more you stifle it, it's gonna still feel the same every time you bring it up. By the season 6, when Jerry and Elaine bring up their date, and you can tell they're so over it that it's just something that happened.
Yeah, they've also dated like 100 people since then.
Well, they were whores.
Yeah, they be going out with a new person every episode.
Everyone on that show is a whore.
Yeah,
all 4 of them.
So we see they're getting it. They both want to say that it's a mistake, and you see Sally go.
Are they together?
No, they're separate. They're
getting dressed.
They're still getting dressed. And she's saying to herself, I just hope I get to say it first. And he says, I hope she says it before I do. So they're at the
she wants control of the situation. And it's personality traits, yeah.
So they're at the dinner and she goes, it was a mistake. And he's like, oh, I'm so relieved you said that. I think that too. And she's like, I'm not saying last night wasn't great. It was. And he's like, yeah, it was fun. It was great. We just shouldn't have done it. Yes. I'm so relieved you think that. Great.
Not great.
And they eat dinner awkwardly.
Yep.
And it's like quiet for a while. And he goes, it's so nice when you can just sit here with someone and you don't have to talk.
Oh, yeah. I bet it is, huh?
So they don't see each other for a while after that. There's a couple little scenes where you see them hanging out with Marie and Jess separately and asking about each other. Like, oh, is Harry coming to the wedding? You know, is he bringing anyone? Because Marie's getting ready to marry Jess.
Yeah.
So it's the day of the wedding, Jess and Marie's wedding, and Harry is the best man and Sally's the maid of honor. And they're being cordial at the ceremony, and it's really beautiful, and they're like saying things, but clearly it's uncomfortable.
They're not friends like that no more.
No, they're not acting like friends. And so during the reception, they start speaking to each other, and he asked her if she's like seeing anyone, and she's like, Harry, I don't want to talk about this. He's like, when are we going to get past this? Are we going to carry this thing around forever? And she's like, forever? It just happened. And he goes, it happened 3 weeks ago. It's kind of not that long.
No, but I get it. For him, it's like, if we ain't going to get over it in 3 weeks, we ain't getting over it.
Well, that's kind of how he would say. He's like, he says, you know how a human year is like 7 years to a dog? And she goes, yes. And he just shrugs and smiles. And she's like, is one of us supposed to be the dog in this scenario? And they just start bickering louder and louder, and they take it to like the back kitchen of the. Oh,
because it's like, oh, we started.
They were gonna ruin the wedding, so they're like in like the kitchen prep area now.
Wait, has the wedding happened yet?
No, the wedding has already happened. They've already been married, and this is a reception.
Okay, so everybody's having a good time right now, so they're trying not to ruin everybody's good time.
They're trying not to ruin it, so they go into the thing, and they're still he's like explaining like he's like, I didn't go there because I wanted to make love to you. And he's like, but you looked up to me. Oh, look, you looked up to me like, oh, Harry, hold me longer with those big brown eyes. What am I supposed to do? And she's like, are you saying you took pity on me?
Whoa.
And she goes, fuck you. And she slaps him like hard, you know, like nice.
You hear it.
Slap. Yeah. And she walks out of the kitchen and back into the reception. And he follows her out. And as they walk into the reception, Marie and Jess are doing a toast. And Jess says, and for Harry and Sally, if Marie and I had found either of them remotely attractive, we would not be here today.
That's fire.
Everyone laughs and claps, and that's the end of the scene. Uh-huh. So it's winter in New York City again. So it's been a whole year.
Damn, bruh.
But this year, we see them doing all the holiday things alone, you know? Like
they ain't homies no more.
They're not homies. They're all alone. Sally's like carrying the tree into her own apartment.
And they've been best friends for like what, 6 years, 7 years? How many years have they been best friends at that point?
This period of time since they've re-met
and been friends and been best friends
since their divorce has only been like a year and a half.
Oh,
that's why
it's just the baggage of the whole relationship has been 10 years.
Mm-hmm. But the first New Year's Eve was just last year, so it's been a whole year since.
So it's just been 1 year.
Mm-hmm. So. You see Sally like getting a tree on her own now. She's struggling to carry it. It's really cute because she can't. She's dragging a tree down.
How big is it?
a full size.
Why did you get it so big, bitch?
I don't know. Such a woman. She's carrying the tree in her apartment, like struggling to get it in, and like, you know, like it's just really comical the way she's physically like getting it into this apartment, and you hear the voicemail go off while she's coming in. It's like beep, and he's like, "It's the holidays. It's the season of forgiveness and season of groveling." So if you felt like calling me back, I'd be more than happy to do the traditional Christmas groveling. Give me a call.
So he's been trying to call.
And then you see another shot of her, and she looks like she's like working from home, and it's like beep. If you're there, please pick up. I really want to talk to you. Wait. The fact that you're not answering leads me to believe that either A, you're not at home, B, you're at home but you don't want to talk to me, or C, you're at home and desperately want to talk to me, but you're trapped under something heavy. If it is either A or C, please call me back.
Nigga, that's funny.
Then you see,
Did she laugh or no?
She doesn't laugh.
Okay.
But it's like really cute. He's so cute. He's on the street talking.
He's such a dickle. This is all his fault.
Yeah, it is all his fault. And he's telling him, like, he's like, I don't know how long I can do this. I'm tired of like apologizing all the time. She doesn't want to talk to me.
He's telling Justice?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what I can do. And he's like, I'm just so tired of being a schmuck. And as soon as he says that, it switches to another scene. You see him on the phone calling her voicemail. And it's like, if you're feeling sad and lonely, there's a service I can render. And he's singing this song to her. And that's when she picks up. And she's like, Harry. It's like, hi, I didn't know you were there. What are you doing? And she goes, I was just on my way out. And he's like, where are you going? She's like, what do you want, Harry? He goes, nothing. She's like, and he's like, I just called to say I'm sorry. And she goes, okay, I gotta go. And he's like, wait a second, what are you doing for New Year's? Are you going to the Tyler's party? Because I don't have a date. And if you don't have a date, we always said we could be together on New Year's. I can't do this anymore. Oh, that's what she says. She goes, Harry, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it's over. You ruined it, my nigga.
And she says, I'm not your consolation prize.
Fucking right. You're not. Yep. Good for her.
So it's New Year's Eve. New Year's Grok and Christmas Eve, that is on, and Harry's watching that at home alone. And you hear him voicing over, and he's like, this is great. This is awesome. We got Dick Clark, the traditional New Year's Eve. I got the greatest cookies in the world. And,
this nigga's hurting.
Yeah. And he's got like a ball of clothes in his hands, and you're about to give the Knicks their first championship since 1973. And he shoots and misses. It's like, scene changes, and Sally is at some big New Year's Eve party, like the one they were at the year before, but she's with Jess and Marie, and she just looks unhappy, dancing like with a handsome man. And then we go back to Harry, and he's walking the streets of New York City alone.
Well, that's a sad place to be, bro.
On New Year's Eve, when everyone's somewhere.
Also, but in the place to be.
Yeah.
In where New Year's Eve happens in my head, which is New York.
And he's like, this is much better. Fresh air. Who needs to be at a big party? Plus, now I can catch up on my window shopping. He starts looking in different windows, and he hears like different couples kind of canoodling nearby. And it's like, he's like clearly just so unhappy looking at all the love around him. And then at the party, you see Sally's like trying to get out of there. She tells Marie she's going to go home. And Marie's like, you're never going to get a taxi. It's New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good point.
So as Harry's walking all alone again, he goes past the arch, the one that she dropped him off at.
Way beginning.
In the way beginning, when they first met on the ride to New York City. And you start hearing the voiceover turns to the old voiceover of how women can't be friends with men because of the whole sex thing. And you hear that whole conversation replay in his mind, and you see all these flashes of their relationship together, and he's thinking about her. And
he said it. He said it in the beginning of the movie.
And just as that part happens, he goes, the song "It Had to Be You" starts playing in the background, like,
It had to be you.
and you see him walking faster. And now he's running. And he's running like full speed. And Sally's at the party, and she's like having a terrible time.
Oh my God, a Jerry Maguire moment?
And she tells Jess Marie, she's like, I have to leave. The thought of not having someone to kiss at midnight is just too much. And this is the craziest thing to me about the whole entire. She says the thought of not kissing someone at midnight is too much. And Jess, Marie's husband, says, oh, I'll kiss you.
Yeah, sometimes, Sam, shoot or shoot. Let me tell you something. Sometimes, Sam, you got to shoot that motherfucking shot, bro. You gotta be Steph Curry, and you got to have a dream, and you got to make it happen.
It never goes anywhere. She just thanks him. She's like, thanks, Jess, but I'd rather go.
I fuck with Jess. I'm like, hey, I got you, girl. Come on.
Kiss 2 people. Kiss all 3. Everyone who wants to be kissed, I will kiss them tonight. So you still keep seeing shots of Harry running, and then she's walking out of the party, and there he is, out of breath. And he comes up to her, and he's like, I've been doing a lot of thinking. And the thing is, I love you. And she says, how do you expect me to respond to this?
You know what you're going to say, girl. You know you love me. Shut up. That's what I said. I said, you know you love me, bitch.
He says, how about you love me too? And
Yep.
she's like, how about I'm leaving? And
That's
then
not what you
he's
want.
following after. He goes, doesn't what I said mean anything to you? And she goes, I'm sorry, Harry. I know it's New Year's Eve, and I know you're lonely, but you can't just show up here and tell me you love me and expect that to make everything all right. It doesn't work that way.
Fair.
And he's like, well, how does it work? And she's like, I don't know, but not like this. And he goes, how about this? How about I love that you get cold when it's only 71 degrees out? And I love that it takes you a half an hour to order a sandwich. And I love that little crinkle you get above your nose when you're looking at me like I'm nuts, like right now. I love that you're the last person I want to talk to before I go to sleep at night. And it's not because I'm lonely. And it's not because it's New Year's Eve. I came here because because when you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Fucking facts, dog. Talk that shit, Billy.
You see, it's just like you, Harry. You say things like that, and it makes it impossible for me to hate you. And I hate you, Harry. I really hate you. And they look at each other lovingly, and they start kissing.
Of course.
And it's like, they really love each other.
Yeah,
They're
she really.
like full.
Sam, you don't really hate somebody unless
Yeah.
you really love that motherfucker.
And as they're kissing, the camera pans back from them, and you start hearing this voiceover, and he says, the first time we met, we hated each other. No, you didn't hate me. I hated you.
Yo!
The second time we met, you didn't even remember me. And he goes, I did too remember you.
Are they kissing in this voiceover? You just
You hear the voiceover.
while they're kissing.
Now they're kissing. And the third time we met, we became friends. And she says, we were friends for a long time. And then he says, and then we weren't. And then we fell in love. And now you realize that this voiceover is coming from their interview, their couple interview. Oh, look, you got a little tear.
Oh, that's not a real one, though.
And then she said, 3 months later, we got married. It only took 3 months. We had a really wonderful wedding, too. A big coconut cake. And he's like, yeah, it was a huge, big coconut cake with this chocolate sauce on the side. And he's like, she says, it was a big, huge coconut cake with chocolate sauce inside. He's like, right, because not everybody likes it on the cake. It can make it soggy. And she goes, particularly not on the coconut. It's not important. It's important to keep it on the side. And he goes, right. And then the credits run. And that's the end of the.
That's when you said that's when Harry met Sally.
That's when Harry met Sally.
Good job, baby.
That was a hard one to do. Lots
What do you
of
mean?
words.
You did a really good job. That was a really good movie.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
I get why it's a classic now. Now that I've heard it, I understand why it's a timeless. I understand now why people say it's the greatest rom-com of all time. People say that. I mean, people like when you look at the list, it's number 1 or 2, always. It's always 1 or 2 or top 5. You know what I mean? So it's like, and if you just talk to people randomly, it's the main one that comes up. And after hearing it, it's like, oh, that's one of the most well-written movies I've ever heard in my life. Take rom-com out of it.
Yeah, it's really, it feels very real.
Sam, there was no fat, there was no weight, there was never a scene where you were like, oh man, that was kind of like, or even I was like, oh, that was kind of unnecessary, or anything like that. Every scene was so important to the character development.
It's also cool because it's so dialogue driven, but there's still all these little elements kind of happening around it that you still know.
Well, because Sam, a dialogue-driven movie doesn't mean that the stuff's not happening.
Yeah, that's true.
12 Angry Men.
Yes.
12 Angry Men is happening in a fucking one room. You know what I'm saying? And it's all dialogue, but a million things are happening.
Yeah.
You know, so that because if a good movie, in a great movie, a million things are happening, and each plot was so good. The friends getting together, every callback, every joke, every line mattered for each line coming up later. I mean, that's a movie. That's a fucking great movie. I can't wait to watch it for real.
Yeah, we should watch it. It's really good.
I'm probably gonna watch it like tonight. I feel bad for you because you have to watch it again. But
For like the 8th time.
I want to watch it because it's like that was a fucking film.
It was really good. You know, because I've been watching this several times because we were going to do it a couple weeks ago. So I've been rewatching it just to keep up. And I've been reading all these little things about it in the meantime, just because you're like watching things. You're like, oh, I wonder if anyone talks about this online. But I found out Rob Reiner, when he started the movie, he didn't want them to end up together. It was originally written.
They go back to being friends?
they break up. I don't think they go back to be friends.
Oh, it ends on like how the breakup ended up, where they broke up.
Yeah, it was supposed to end with them not together because he had just like gotten out of a really messy divorce or a really messy relationship.
So that's how he was feeling.
That's how he was feeling. And then during the production, he fell in love with someone else. And so they rewrote the ending. Him and Billy Crystal rewrote the ending so that it made sense.
Oh, so there is men writing in this.
Yeah, but
the core of it was written by
Nora Ephron.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, so but also there was improv, so it was all that. So it's like, not that men didn't help, but that's, I guess, what I was at. The core of this came from a woman's brain. It did not come from a man's brain.
Yeah. This was definitely her idea for.
This is this was fucking incredible.
It's a really beautiful movie. And the way that they do the shots of the interviews, it's like, what is this about? You don't really understand why you're getting all that for a while.
That's so cool. I want to. Also, I'm trying to think who my favorite character was in this, and because it's like, I want Harry, but fucking Sally's fire, nigga. And I like Jess, and I like Jess. I like Marie. I like their whole situation, but Harry's definitely the best character. Harry is carrying.
Harry's the best character.
Not that Sally's not also helping carry the movie, but this nigga Harry is carrying this film.
He's so good.
He is great.
There's also so much I wanted to tell you because I'd watched it so many times. You're as a performer, you're watching how they're performing. So I'm looking at him. There's so many things he does with his body in different parts of his life. You can tell like he's made his character age in ways that are you wouldn't have noticed if you just watched it once.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome.
It was so good.
That was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Guys, make sure you follow Happy Canary Weed on Instagram and Twitter, Happy Canary Weed. Shout out to my boy Hayden. Shout out to the state of Maine. Shout out to Raw Room Podcast, available everywhere on all platforms with my best friend in the world, Darren Bates, NFL stud. He's about to go into year fucking 10 or 11. Jesus, the fact that I'm even saying that's crazy. And the best active player with a podcast in the world right now. Take that, Draymond Green. Darren Bates, the Raw Room, available everywhere. Go support him. Support Sam Lopez, everything she does. Follow her on Instagram at the best Sam Lopez.
It's just best Sam Lopez.
Best Sam Lopez. I love you.
I love you. That was real. Let's do the peck and kiss that they do where they pretend like they're
we'll do
friends.
a peck and kiss. Even that's a lot.
That felt like sex.
That's a lot. It felt like sex.
I felt a little like sex.
But we love you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in a couple days next week. Who knows? I love you.